There we are looking at the cameras.
Ooh, whatever light that is.
Yeah, hit number 2.
Yeah, hit number 2.
Audio is on. They should hear us. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Well, that worked out.
That was
okay.
the wrong light.
That's not good though. No, that put the glow.
That one right there, above the TV on the.
So it's new.
No, hit number 2 off.
Yeah.
Number 2 off.
Yep.
Number 2 turned everything off.
Excuse me, and I'll get out. And we'll see if we can change the lighting just a bit so everybody's happier.
That's good.
That's not bad. I look a little shiny. But
And the weird part is I look a little short.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah.
The good news is, doesn't show the gray hair as well.
makes my hair look all gray.
Makes mine work, doesn't it?
Yeah. It makes all this look gray too, and that's not real.
I am just happy I have hair. So.
Yep.
I talked to a guy the other day who's my age, and we were talking about living long, and he said both of his parents died at 50, and his twin brothers died at 30. So, you got to reflect on what you got going on.
My dad died, he was 41.
Yeah.
And all his brothers died very early.
He's 5 years older than I am. He's 85.
Yeah. He's doing okay.
Yeah, that's what he
Good for
said.
him.
I said, what was the cause? He said, well, basically we all had bad hearts.
Yeah, that's what's happened in my family.
These days they can monitor it and you do pretty well. So
Yep.
All right, so bummer. Let's shut up.
Yeah,
Let's shut up the bummer.
let's go.
Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts on next month's demos? Anything?
You can see your chat up here.
Anybody
we can
coming out
see
to
that.
Nashville next week to see John and I?
Right.
Next week?
Yeah, it's next week.
Find me if you checked and find out if your vision is okay. It's good to have a pleasant outlook on life.
There's Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken, I just picked your order.
You know the wildest thing is I make a pen. It's label cast and it's just the eye chart, and I put it on a Sierra, and you would not believe it is really a popular pen.
Good.
Not anymore, because everybody now is going to make one and have a lot of competition on that. Eye chart pens, Sierras.
Sierra eye chart pen. It's a really good one.
Oh, shoot. I apologize. I'm a little tired.
Because you drove in a car all day with me.
Well, and I only got about 5 hours of sleep last night.
Anybody going to turn on Chicago this weekend?
Terry asks, when's the next MPG? We knew that was
We'll
coming
talk about
eventually.
that. We'll have Mark give his presentation quickie like to tell us what dates and all that stuff after everybody's here.
And we got new news.
New news?
We got new news.
So again, I'm going to learn something tonight. That's always good.
Will we be seeing you out there, Terry? We had a blast with you last year.
Typing feverishly.
F-E-V-E-R.
Can't wait.
I'm going to go get another couple out in case.
Okay. Okay. Don't forget 8:15.
Yep.
Thank you.
The beauty of coming up here, what you and I both spent $300 and stuff that we bought. So.
Oh, no, way more than that.
Did you go to Antioch?
No, from your place.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, my order was over. It was just under 500, I think.
Okay, mine was, I think mine was like 350.
Yeah.
I just placed it and picked it, so it worked out well.
You picked my order too, thank you.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, I was busy picking Kent's.
Yeah, we both picked Kent's. I didn't pick
You
it,
helped me
but
with the
I was
last
there,
one. Yeah.
So Kent, your order is ready and it'll be waiting. It's going out this afternoon.
Probably already gone. It was in the
Yeah, I was in the bin
rack to
today.
go. So
Rack to go to mail is gone.
yep.
Rack to go to UPS. We have a wonderful UPS guy when he's there.
Yeah.
The trouble is that he's been there for a long time and he's not a big man.
How's your FedEx guy? Because Kent's a FedEx guy.
Yeah, Kent's a FedEx.
Kent would prefer if I didn't talk about my FedEx.
Okay. It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's
Kent
all
is
good.
wonderful. If I ever need anything from FedEx, I
There you go. Now you know who to call.
He's fantastic.
On a
Yes.
serious note, someone asked, how do you store your bushings? So what I did was I went to Menards and I got one of those boxes that have those small little drawers.
Yep.
And I picked up a real big one. I think it's got like 75 drawers in it.
Yeah, the narrow drawers,
Yep.
smaller narrow drawers.
Yep. And then what I'll do is I took label tape, and a label gun,
Mhm.
and just put the bushing name on it and put it on each one of them. And it's really nice. So I've got them all right up in one little thing.
So the vinyl label sheets that we use to make label casts, I just cut a strip off of those and wrote on them and stuck on
Oh
there.
yeah, that would work. Yeah.
But yeah, same thing.
We had one of those label makers from 100 years ago that no one uses in the house.
Sure.
So I thought, what the heck? I might as well use it for something.
Yeah, they're fun.
I had a system when I was making a lot of pens that worked pretty well. It's go to the dollar store and you can get the rings that hold your shower curtain, and they're very, very simple. If you look at the ones that are fancy, that doesn't work. But you can get just a simple round ring that's about the same diameter wire as a coat hanger, and if you put your bushings through those and then hang them. Well, I was in the basement and it was not a finished basement, so I had all the rafters above me, so I could put a strip across there, and I had probably 50, 60 different flavors of bushings that were all across the top there. And good news was when I'd lose one little group of them, I didn't lose them all. All the other things that I tried before that, if it tipped, I was dead. So it's a pretty good system particularly if you've got open ceiling and you've got rafters that you can play with. There's a lot that you can do with
There's
that.
a ton of great things on the side. I mean, people use smaller things, cut the labels off the shipping bag and tape it to the little box so that they're in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was the comment about Glue Boost, John, that you now have?
Sorry, Harold, but it's good stuff. So I'm glad you like
I
it.
love that stuff.
Yeah, glad you like it. It is
So,
good.
so Harold is not allowed to complain that we didn't push him early enough to switch because we've been pushing it for a long time. Talk about bushings. Then you got the guys with toys.
Yeah.
Yep. I try not to use more than. I've got a lot of bushings, but most of them are to pens that I don't really make much anymore.
That's
Yep.
true.
You know, I've got
That's
my
true.
favorite maybe 4 or 5 sets, and the rest of them are just kind of there. And I've even condensed drawers where they might have 2 different styles in it. But
I basically have, I would guess, 10 sets of pens that I do on a regular basis. And then I know I'm the outlier because I know Ed stuff. The old school is you don't need bushings and use a micrometer and things like that.
No.
I completely respect that.
me too.
My attitude is
But bushings are quick.
it's
Bushings are
$4.
much
It's
faster.
$4 more for a set of
Yeah.
bushings, and even if I'm only going to make the pen once or twice, I'll just get the bushings and get it done and
Yeah,
get it over with.
got them for next time.
Yeah.
I agree.
And generally, when we see orders, most of the guys that do a lot of turning will settle on 10, 12
Yeah.
different styles of pens.
And we'll talk about that tonight.
We have a couple of guys that just amaze me. They will order one, and it'll be like 4 pages of one of this, one of that, one of the other thing.
I picked
It's
it. And
just-
it went
I'm
out-
just gonna say, I'm pretty sure I picked one
I
of those.
picked one of
today.
those today going to Florida.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
amazing. I always felt like if I did the first or second pen of that flavor, I learned how to make it pretty well. But to say that you're going to do every pen out there,
You
and
just
then-
called out the person, the Florida guy says, that was me.
There you go. Nice.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I guess
That's-
so you'll know that if there's something wrong with it, Mark picked it today.
It is impressive. I just am astonished when I see that. And boy, you got some concentration, guys. I'm lucky if I can make a Sierra three times in a row.
It's
Yeah.
not so on a real good day, or like a good day when all I'm doing is turning. Especially if it's like wood or something, I'll just turn in the morning 30 sets.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'll do is if you don't have this is a great little thing. We may not talk about it tonight, but I love this one. So I went to Walmart and I got bobbin holders.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'll do is I think they're 5 racks, 5 levels up, all made of wood. Each one's got 10 across. And I'll put the top and bottom, top and bottom, top and bottom. And I'll make sure that I keep the orientation right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep the bottom of the bottom and the top of the bottom so that they're there, so that when I pull them out, I can get them all done. And I'll just turn them all, and then I'll go and I'll put my glue boost finish on it, and then put them all back up there. Then I'll take them to my buffing wheel and buff them all out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do a lot of pens, getting a bobbin rack, I can't tell you how many times I've used it to put things that I'm gonna do. So I'll put the ones that I'm gonna make today and all the other ones, and keep them all lined up. Cool thing about it is you buy, I think they're like $10 at Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
and you buy them, and I've got 4 racks, bobbin racks that I use for doing different things,
Mm-hmm.
so I can stay in production mode.
I do that with when I'm gluing up certain blanks, but I just took 16 penny nails and a sheet
Yeah.
of plywood and just spaced them out about 1.5 inches. That way I can just drop the tubes over the nail.
And that's how I did it at first.
Yeah.
I have a couple boards that I did, and I still have it because I put white tape on it and I drew lines on it, lines across, so I could nail it in the right spot. And then I did it. But I'll tell you now, for me, bobbin racks are just so much quicker.
Sure.
I
they're
think that's
available.
what they're called, bobbin.
Yeah, they're available.
Yeah, they are. And I just posted a link to it if anybody wants to know what you're talking about. The Walmart hobby bobbin rack.
That day job thing can always get in the way. I don't have that anymore. My day job has turned into basically being a pen blank caster of, I don't know, 12, 15-hour days.
I was doing art shows I've done them now for about 25 years on the outside, maybe 20 years. Whenever you kind of retired, I was lucky to take your area. And I started out doing a couple shows a year. And about 10 years ago, I now do 28 shows a year. And so it is my full-time job between that and coming out here and teaching. And I'm living a dream life for that stuff.
This is my day off. When I
Yeah,
get to
this
come
is
here,
it.
it's a
Yeah.
day off. Or when I'm mowing everybody's grass in the family, that's my day off from daylight to dark.
No, I did 15 pens yesterday morning and then went out and mowed the lawn so that it would look good, because I'll be here. I'm here tonight. Then if anybody's coming to turn on Chicago, I will tell you this. The fantastic demo is at 8 in the morning tomorrow morning, and then at 10:30 tomorrow morning. 2 fantastic demos that turn on Chicago. Then I got a show this weekend. Then I'll be teaching in Milwaukee on Monday. And then you and I are going out to Nashville on Thursday.
So Terry, that glue boost, depending on what you put it over, you may, if it's a smooth material already, say a maple, something smooth like that, or wood, or if it's acrylic, skip the blue, go straight to the orange or the teal label. Most of my acrylics, I put 5 coats of the ultra thin teal, and I then just run it through a micro mesh. You may have to jump to, say, 400 grit sandpaper and knock those ridges down. A lot of times you'll get that with the blue just from putting it on there. It's so thick, it won't cure smoothly. So,
You use just the blue?
well, Terry had started with the blue.
Talking about,
Oh, yeah,
and,
right.
and he got a rough surface. So
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
just just knock it down. Don't sand all the way through it, but just lightly sand it smooth, and then just polish it up.
The other thing too is 4/0 steel works great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As you get more accustomed to it, I'll put the blue on, then I'll just do a 4/0 steel wool. The only thing about 4/0 steel wool is you just got to be
gotta
conscious.
Clear out the
Yep.
debris.
Yep. You got to be conscious of that
Yeah.
and make sure that steel wool doesn't get caught on the ends because it'll tear out of your hand.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I use 4/0 steel wool every time I do my finishing. After I apply the glue, and then I'll hit with either 400 or 600 grit to smooth it out a little bit. Then I'll hit the steel wool, and then I'll go straight to the micro mesh.
Watching for airline seat sale to book the MPG 2027.
Okay, it's after 6 o'clock, but we were talking about pens that are the things that are pen related, so I think we can get away with it.
So
Well,
can I
let's-
answer one quick question?
Sure,
It's
go
not
ahead.
on here.
Sure.
What would so Ed, you can talk a little bit about this one too. What's the best selling pen at shows? I'll tell you, I've got 3 of them that are by far my best. On the high end, when I'm doing like your pheasant feathers and any other high end, I use the Junior Majestic. You know how many of those I buy from you. So the Junior Majestic, the casual one that I use on a more everyday, I still favor the magnetic one. So I favor the magnetic Vertex Supreme, the Vertex Supreme, and then on the twist ones, it's the Diamond Neural.
Mhm.
I mean, we love now that we have that. A Sierra based pen, but I
Mhm.
love the Diamond Neural.
Mhm.
And
Nothing beats that finial refill. To not have to disassemble the whole pen and just unscrew the tip.
yeah. So okay, so Ed, you can get started. I was just trying to answer one that looked
No
like
problem. No problem.
it was still up
So-
there.
So let's get going. Let's tell everybody first of all that thank you for coming. We appreciate the audience. One of the things, to start off with, I want to say thank you to Dean, so I don't forget about it as I go along here. So, as always, we thank Dean for being here because he makes this thing continue to go forward and keeps us online, kinda, and reminds me when I forget stuff. That full-time
Well,
job, I
Not to
guarantee.
mention, run the chat, post the links.
Yeah.
So
So if you have any questions, feel free to put them online. Dean will get them to us at some point.
Run the website if there's any questions during the show and people are going, "Where is that?"
Absolutely.
He knows where everything is. So
absolutely.
So yes, we appreciate Dean and we appreciate all that he does for us. And that this time turned out to be the reason that we're on the 5th Thursday instead of the 4th Thursday. So we're trying to stay pretty much on the 4th Thursday, but you'll know if you're on our mail. All the people watching, I think, are on the mailing list. But you will see the date is always given sometime in the 3 weeks ahead of time. So thanks everybody.
You could have said we do it on the last Thursday of the month and no one would have known.
That's right.
Blue thread locker. Blue.
So
We'll catch all those. Sorry, I know we would. Dean, just kind of keep track, and we'll catch all those questions at the end or at a next break. Go ahead.
Yep,
So-
got it.
why are we doing pens? Let's start off with that. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what are we going to do next, and of course I get the input from Mark and John. One of the things that we have learned is that the live has got some advantages in that you all get a chance to watch these videos after they're over with. After the actual thing goes out and it's on YouTube, the ones that we do that are related to pens typically get about 20-25% more views than the ones that we do for anything else. So I am trying to continue to bring in more information on pens on an ongoing basis so that you have an opportunity to know a little bit more, maybe. But more than that, it looks like that's what you're interested in. We can try to get all kinds of research and surveys, but the reality is how many people watch how many hours of YouTube tells us who actually is paying some attention to it. So that's why suddenly you're going to see that we're trying to incorporate pens on a regular basis. And I'm going to put John to sleep. That's going to be a terrible thing. Poor John. So, so that's the reasoning behind why pens. Additionally, right now, with the closing of Dayacom, I think that there is enough information out there that it's a topic worth talking about. So that's kind of how we got there from here. Before we get into the actual program, I'm going to give Mark a chance to talk about a couple of things. Number one, we have had, Exotics has had a number of people asking what are the dates of the MPG. I'm thrilled to death that you are asking us those questions, and we do forward them to Mark, and you get an immediate answer. But because that's coming up as a topic of conversation, and I know Mark hates talking about it, but given the opportunity, I thought I'd give him 2 or 3 minutes. So, Mark, you want to tell us a little about what's going on?
Yeah, so if anybody ever has any questions and you want a direct answer, you can also use mpginfo@yahoo.com. And it's also on MidwestPenTurnersGathering.com. And there is a little drop down on the end to ask us questions. But John, myself, and Donna answer that thing all the time. So there's some excellent news. Next year, we are switching hotels. We are going to be same weekend, April 16th and 17th of 2027. But we're switching to a hotel that is a little easier to get to for people who are traveling. It's the Hilton in Northbrook. And if you're familiar with where O'Hare Airport is, it's literally, what do you say? We drove it every time. 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, just directly north of O'Hare Airport. And it'll be right on that, basically about a mile in from that corner. Why are we switching hotels? This is where I need a little bit of help from you guys. We are getting, if you thought that we did pretty well at the MPG and where we were at the last one for the last 6 years, we basically have double the space. And so we're going to double up our vendor room. So I really am asking you in all sincerity in the comments or on the MPG line, and I hate to ask again, if they do send it to you, would you forward it to me?
Sure.
A couple things. If you know some vendors that are definitely interested in working at or wanting to do something with the MPG, please let us know. We're looking for more vendors, and we'll be able to fill some of that spot. We've got about 2 or 3 new ones already that we've already targeted and are going to be coming in, and I'm excited about it. And what kind of demonstrations are you looking for? But the wild thing is, with the double space, we're also going to allocate a big slot of the space to doing some hands-on stuff that we haven't had the ability to do in the past. And John, I think you volunteered to do a casting one already. And so,
Yeah. So Mark,
you will be doing, so there will be some Lathe Buddy we've already talked to. Thank you, Anthony. Lathe Buddy is planning on attending, and we already have talked to Lathe Buddy. So they're definitely going to be in. But we're going to be doing some hands-on stuff. So I've got a goal that by September 1st, the website will be hot and ready to go. The MPG, where is it again? Northbrook, Illinois, and it's just about 15 miles north of O'Hare Airport. We're gonna be going over there. So if you've got some topics that you want to see us cover, please shoot some emails. You can send them to me directly also through the mpginfo@yahoo line. We're always looking for it. We've got some vendors. If you've got some hands-on classes that you're looking for us to do, we're going to be doing that. And I think some of it's going to be a blend. We're going to, as you know, I think we've got the most economical rate in the world at only $69 to get in for 2 full days. We're going to be splitting it up, and we're going to have some of those classes you're going to be doing for nothing. Some of them, there might be a small fee just to cover some of the costs that we're going to be there. But you know what? I think the most part, it's a blast for all the vendors. It's a blast for any of the people who are teaching, and I think it's going to be a blast for all the rest of us. So if you have any questions, shoot them on the side, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, and we'll see what we're going to be doing. Is it okay to talk about 2 other real quick ones?
Sure, absolutely.
I know these are personal, but tomorrow, if you're going to be in the area, turn on Chicago. This weekend, if you're in the Chicago area, it's going to be, the nice thing about it is, it's a sneak peek of the MPG hotel. because they're at the same hotel that we're going to be at. They were the ones who got us into that hotel. I think it's going to be phenomenal. So tomorrow, I'm going to be doing 2 demos, but it's going to be more than just pens. It's going to be, turning across the board. There's some great, great demonstrators there. And then I did mention this earlier jokingly, but I just want to make sure that you guys all know that there are still some openings. John and I will be in Nashville next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you guys have asked about hands-on casting. It's going to be hands-on casting on most of the day Friday. You're going to be making some blanks at the end of the day. Friday night, you'll be prepping them. Saturday, we're going to be talking a little bit about pens and pen making. And then Saturday afternoon, you're going to be making, if you followed us in some of our classes that we taught on this channel back in December, we're going to be doing some of the stuff that you had there. We're going to be making a pizza cutter possibly. You could make ice cream scoop. You may be able to make a bottle stopper. Whatever you want to be able to make, you'll be able to make it with us. And then the cool part is, I think this is kind of fun, is that we were going to be done on Saturday night. And actually John said, well, you know what? We're not going to drive home Saturday night. So it's an 8-hour drive from us, from our house to Nashville. So we're going to come in and you don't even have to sign up about the class. You can come in on Sunday morning and just sit down with John and I and ask any questions or give us any ideas or anything that you really want to see or work on, or advice for us. We're willing to take that too. So that's this coming up, not this weekend, but next week, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Nashville. And you can get all the information on PowerMatic's website. How many students are in the class? Right now, I think when we looked at it, we max out at 20 students. And I think when we looked at it the other day, we were at 18.
I thought he said expect 25.
Yeah, he said we can go up to 25, but right now we're at 18.
And that's the Jet Powermatic class. That isn't the classes that we're talking about for MPG.
Right.
Yeah,
this is just the Jet Powermatic.
This is just
Powermatic headquarters.
Yeah.
They're big.
And at the ones
shop.
at the MPG,
we'll see how
I
that
think we're
plays
gonna.
out.
Yeah, you and I are gonna go probably in the next 2 weeks, and we'll take a look at the room
Yeah,
and we'll
see
start
what
to map everything out.
What we can work out.
So if that wasn't enough, stay tuned. Next month I'll have even more.
Okay, well, thank you. As usual, just a wealth of information in 2 or 3 minutes. Well, 12.
I'm gonna go take a break now.
Take a nap.
Did we want to hit some questions before you get into the next set of stuff? Catch up
Sure,
later?
if you've got a few.
John, did you want to talk about how you use ThreadLocker? That was one of the questions that
Yep,
was asked.
so,
Blue or red, but did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I like to use the blue thread locker on anything that threads. And so especially on the diamond knurl ballpoints, I'll put just a small drop when I assemble the transmission. I'll also unscrew the top finial, and I'll put a small drop there and screw it back on. The only place that I don't put thread lock is on the threads of the nib. That way, there you go. Anybody that has to change, I'll show you. These will come off, I believe, in two sections. So up top here, I put a small drop, and I'll screw that on, and then I'll come back here at the center of the transmission. I'll put a drop in there, and I'm using blue because blue's not permanent. Red's a little harder if you have to take it apart, but blue, you can kind of manhandle it apart. But it won't come apart by just simple vibration. But where I won't put it is on the tip of the finial here, because you want to be able to, oh, that one doesn't screw off.
Nope.
But the ones that thread off, this is the only place I won't put it. That way it's easy to change the ink without having to disassemble the whole pen. And that's why I like the diamond knurl, because I'm able to unscrew the nib and swap everything out. Plus I can play with that center band and get a little fancy down the road. But
Well, this is the premier, the prior to the diamond knurl. That's the way it was made.
yes.
So this is an old pen. Sorry about that.
So the old Sierras and Diplomats, you really can't glue any of those because you won't be able to change your refills. But the diamond knurls you can. That way, when the pen's assembled, all you ever do is unscrew the nib to change the ink without disassembling everything else. And where that helps is when the customer comes back and says, for some reason, this won't go back into the body of the pen, what they've done is they've unscrewed it before
Yep.
they took it apart. You have to pull them apart to change it, and they don't. They just unscrew it. And then what happens is you can't screw it back in because you hit that transmission and push it up the pen body. And now you've got to reach up there and be able to pull all that out and fix it for them. So if they can't take all of that apart and all they do is unscrew the tip, it makes life much easier.
You know, and if it's okay for me to interrupt or amplify on it, I rarely talk about what I do as that I sell pens and what I do with selling pens. But you know what? Every pen that I ever sell, I give them a sheet of paper, and I've got all the instructions for a
Type of refill. And,
Yep, the type of refill. I even put on there what words you type into Amazon if you want to type on their search engine, and I've got it for a roller ball and I've got it for a ballpoint. And when I sell a pen, I actually circle it and I tell them what kind of information they have on it. I think that's incredibly advantageous because then I can also tell them how to take it apart and how to put it back together. And then it's always a sheet of paper that they have there for their entire life.
Sure.
And they keep them with it. So it's just a little bit of a point. If you go out and you start to sell pens, you should be able to give that to them with that information on there as to what the kind of refill you're looking at. And I know, Ed, you're going to talk all about that coming up.
A little bit, but that's
So-
good to answer questions. Go for it.
Two
Go ahead.
more that I've got so far. Next one, I'm going to go back to John again. Somebody says they ordered 4 of your 250th anniversary blanks and it's
Thank you.
confused because they're oval.
Sure.
Can you
So
explain
that
about
happens.
what happens there?
Yep. So most of my tube on castings they're cast in a clear tube, which is part of the vertical casting system. What that means is the tube itself, the clear plastic, stays on the blank. So when you get the blank, you have to turn that off. Well, this resin will get up to 200 degrees as it cures and hardens. So it's not uncommon for resin to flex and churn. And what that does is it heats up that clear tube, and sometimes it'll push out one direction more than the other, and it'll be slightly out of round. It's not a big deal because once you put the bushings in, you put it on your lathe and turn it, well, it's back and round again. And even if it looks slightly out of round, there's always enough material around that center tube, that brass tube. When you put your bushing in, you're going to see resin all the way around the outside of that bushing. You know you're fine. And before anything is ever packaged, I look at every one of them because I'm a one-man show. So I pour all of them. I cut them all on a bandsaw. I package them all, label them all. Everything is always checked to make sure. If something happens and I miss something, well, reach out to us. Reach out to Exotic Blanks. They'll get in touch with me, and I'll definitely make it right for you. But it's not uncommon for a blank cast in a vertical tube to be slightly out of round. Where you keep your roundness most of the time is in your silicone molds because those walls aren't going to flex on you.
If you look online on our YouTube channel, I have made a video of one of John's blanks that was off center. When you see that start to spin, there is a point where it will be spinning normally, not actually spinning the way that you expect. Start there and go left and right, and you can cut down the part that's out of round. Well, not out of round, really. It's round. It's just not centered.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do, basically, if you start where that looks like it's the right size, you're not asking it to do an awful lot of difficult turning. The turning of his blanks is easy anyway. John's blanks are like butter to turn. So if you want to, just take a look at Exotic Blanks website, YouTube site, and you'll see that I did do a picture or a video of just that, because we have had that question from time to time, and it is really easy when you actually mount it on the lathe. It looks strange when you look at it, but when you actually put it on the lathe and see that thing spin, somewhere, usually right near the middle, is spinning exactly the way you expect. Because it's going from the left to the right and the up and the down and all that. There's one spot that's going to be just the same as it always is. Start there and then just go off both directions. And it's just like turning anything else. By the way, higher speed is better than lower speed.
Yep.
It will turn more efficiently at high speed. And of course, like always, if your tool is sharp, it helps.
I go 3250, and I just take lighter cuts to start.
That's right. That's right. And you'll hear it clunk 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 clunk. And as you get farther and farther in, you hear that it's getting rounder and rounder. So
I
it's
know
not a
my-
difficult thing to do.
I know mine is 3250 because it's a Powermatic 3250 that I'm turning on. And I guess Powermatic used the same number on it, so that worked out well for me.
So the last one, and I'm sorry if people are hearing me echo because I'm hearing I am possibly. The last one is: does anybody have any input on the woodpecker pen mandrel? If anybody's used it,
Yeah.
It's basically the same as the mandrel saver system that's been out for a while. It's just I think it has better bushings. It turns a little nicer.
No, the woodpecker one is the one that has the line all the way through it.
Yeah, it goes
It's got
through
the
it.
mandrel all the way through.
That's what the mandrel saver is, though. The mandrel saver.
Oh,
is,
the mandrel saver.
Yes, the
right,
mandrel
right. Sorry,
saver.
I got it between the term between centers.
So yeah, woodpecker just isolated that and put it into a system, but it's very similar to the mandrel saver, which is basically just a tailstock live center with a hole in it that fits over your mandrel. And I used it for years
So
until I went to the turn between centers.
Yeah, see, it's just different. I've now switched back. I always advocate that the turn between centers is a great system. I love the turn between centers. It's the one that you guys have here.
Mhm.
I love that turn between center system because it gives me. I only turn one bushing at a time. One barrel at a time.
Mhm.
I don't care how big that mandrel is.
Yep.
I'm only turning one barrel at a time. And then now I've switched back to the woodpecker system and the other one that Dawn has over there that's not on your website. But I love that. I love that one too. It's the same concept that it's got the mandrel saver.
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with the Axminster system though. If they've got a mandrel, how that works. I see that was asked.
I don't.
Okay, and I noticed somebody said thank you for the ideas about selling. There will be an awful lot of ideas about selling, and part of what we do, just kind of by nature, both Mark and I have done an awful lot of selling, and John has done an awful lot of giving away. So
Right.
John can tell you how to give them
Yeah.
away. That's a talent
Well,
all its own.
I just bought $300 worth of pen sets, and I'm just going to give away when I get them made. So,
I'm hoping to get one or
Yeah.
two myself.
well, I gave 2 away on the way up.
Yeah, we did. Or you did.
So yeah, that's part of what we do, kind of as a natural. We're just used to that. So anytime you watch one of these presentations, be prepared to hear an awful lot about selling pens. If you are making pens for yourself, congratulations, and we're welcome to talk to you too. But it's just not what we're used to. So thanks for noticing. Dean, where are we?
Ready to start.
go for it. Go ahead
for
and
it.
talk your stuff.
Okay, okay. Well, let's start off with some of the reasons why we're doing this. Predominantly, the reason I wanted to do it. I think that the industry is changing. I think that with the loss of Dayacom, there's going to be a kind of a void. Some of the products that were really better products. First of all, Dayacom has for the last 10 or 15 years created really fine products. They make a really nice pen. So, when you take that away, you're going to be looking for other places, other products, things that you can use to substitute for what used to be a really good product. I'd like to think that we can help you there. Exotic Blanks, when we started it, we wanted to represent all the manufacturers. We wanted to give you every choice in the book. So as time has gone on, some of the manufacturers have told us that they don't really want to have additional exits. So we don't have everything anymore. But by the same token, we do give a pretty broad choice of pen selections. So we'll talk a little bit about that and what we hope to do, and more important, or as important, I hope that as you listen to this, it will start your brain moving and you will share some of your thoughts with us. I'm only one person. I have pretty good ideas about what makes a good pen, and I have two remarkably good friends who will check them for me and give me good feedback, and also happen to be sitting next to me. So I appreciate their input all the time. But any of you who have a given, well, I really like this pen, and I'd really like to see it continue. Just let me know, and we'll see what we can arrange. My relationship with my manufacturer that has done the diamond knurls is is fantastic. It's very hard to get a trusting relationship with a Chinese manufacturer, and it's very hard to, at least it's perceived as very hard to get quality. When I started working with our manufacturer, the first thing they said was, "Oh, we can give you a good price." And I said, "I don't want good price. I want good product." And so we don't have the cheapest crap that you can have made. We have product that is very well made and is still quite economical.
If it's
So,
okay,
yeah.
I hope it's okay to interrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, I scour Facebook a lot. If those of you who are on Facebook, I don't necessarily post on all the sites, but I do look at all the questions and stuff come up. And you just nailed it right on the head. I think one of the biggest questions that comes up on a repetitive basis is basically who has the cheapest ...
And that's the
And-
exact words they'll use.
and they'll use cheapest. And that just drives me nuts because, as I've said, and if you guys have ever heard me talk about this stuff, you'll get sick and tired of hearing me say it, is you put an hour and a half into making a pen by drilling it, gluing it, everything else. You don't want something that's going to fall apart in the first 30 minutes of someone using it, because you know what? You'll never know.
Yep.
They'll never bring it back to you. They'll never go, "Hey, it was great for the first week and then it fell apart." You'll just never know.
Yep.
And you can tell when you're assembling something. So I always go with who does the best cost effective.
Mhm.
And it's really what I want out of it and what I'm going to be doing it. And you're going to get into it because I know what your thing is. But platings mean
Platings
a
are
lot.
huge.
And the other thing, though, that I do want to also say is absolutely nothing about the component set that you're going to do will improve on a bad form.
Mhm.
So just know that going into it. The form and how you make that pen and how you do the finishing on all that. In the rest of the conversation today, it's a given that you've done your best on that part of it.
Okay, so let's get moving into something rather than Ed sitting here being boring. What we're going to start off by talking a little bit about the component sets, or the kits, depending on what you want to call them. One of the things that, as I started putting this together, I thought, it's interesting that we being the people who talk on the internet, I watch IAP a lot, penturners.org. I do not watch Facebook. So I get a group of people who are usually pretty good pen makers. And often you'll see comments about, "Gee, I make this set or the other pen set," and so forth. Rarely do you see anybody talking about making the slimline. But interestingly enough, the number one selling pen is the slimline. So I don't know why no one is making it and everyone is buying it. I guess I kind of doubt that no one is making it. So basically, we're going to start with that and talk a little bit about. Oh no, we're not. Sorry, we changed that around. We were going to start with that. Now we're going to start with platings. But first, we're going to start about.
This is
platings.
teasing you.
It's only
But
because,
wait, before we begin,
it's only because platings are universal to every other component set that we're going to talk
Yes.
about.
because you mentioned slimlines, when I first started that, well, there weren't a lot of pen sets you could make back then anyhow, but slimlines were the most affordable.
Yep.
So I think that's where a lot of us have began, because we weren't investing a lot of money in something we didn't know if we were going to like or were any good at.
The other thing,
So-
though, about a slimline is, Ed, you know this because you were my mentor at this point, is when I first started, a slimline doesn't have to be 2 straight tubes.
That's right. Well, that we'll get
And you're going to get
that.
into that.
Yeah.
Let's go
And
for
so, yep.
ratings because we said we were going to, and because otherwise I'll get lost.
Okay.
Okay, platings. Understanding platings. Let's get both of the cameras, please, Dean, so that they can see what's on the paper. Okay, thank you. Only flip them around. Oh, wait a minute. We got the wrong. That's not hitting the right spot.
Oh yeah, he's got to change.
You
He's
want
gotta
to bring
change
that
the
over to here. This is amazing.
There
Bear
it
in
is.
mind that all of us are in Racine, Wisconsin, and this is being moved from
Green Bay.
Green
Green
Bay,
Bay.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
So
a couple hours north of us.
it's amazing to
Thank
watch
you.
this stuff.
Because we'd still be struggling to get that
we
center.
would never get that thing centered.
Nice.
Okay. Now we're going to talk a little about platings. The first thing is the most popular and the most popular plating of all is basically a chrome plating. Your chrome up here. I'm using the cigar pens because it's easiest to see the different kinds of plating on that particular pen.
And there's a
So-
lot of combinations on that pen too.
Yes.
Yes, I have had a ton of
Yeah, I
combinations
really like
because
the
I thought
cigar.
it was fun.
Yes.
And this is
And
really gives you all kinds of things to play with.
I like to mix and match them, and I'll take the gold nib off and slap on a black tie, and I'll mix them all up. So,
Yeah. But the chrome is going to be basically the first plating that you'll run into. Used to be that there were several that were all roughly the same color. You have chrome, you have platinum, you have ruthenium, you have
with that black band in them, every one of them I think had the black
Yep.
band. It seemed
Yeah,
like.
well, for the cigar pen.
Yeah.
But essentially, what we're talking about is that plating can always look like it's a shiny chrome-ish, and it can be a number of different kinds of material. That chrome also comes in the satin chrome, and that the nib on this is the satin chrome. So you can see basically that they can take chrome and make two different looks out of it. Actually, three. There's another one too that is a different kind of a shiny. All of those are pretty durable. You're not going to run into a lot of trouble with any of them. If you want to be really safe and look for pens that are inexpensive and at the same time very attractive and will stay that way, look at those chromes and look at your satin chromes and look at the mixtures that you can do with those different colors. The same is true as far as mixing colors with the gold. The gold also is available in the shiny gold or in a satin gold or in the other gold as well. Gold itself, real gold, is not very durable. On the other hand, I've been doing this for 25 years now, and even the early gold pens that they claimed were 24 karat gold, the gold wore very well. There was never a problem with it wearing off. Now, I know that they put some kind of a coating over the top of it, so I know that it isn't exposed to your hands and all that stuff. But the fear of gold being soft is certainly realistic and understandable, but it doesn't play out that way. The gold will last quite well. Now, what's happened in the industry? You will see that many of the pens are no longer called gold. You will see the term golden. You will also find out, if you're in the position that I'm in, when you ask for an explanation, what is golden? The answer is a pretty color.
So it's no longer a compound or
It's
an
not
element.
a chemistry. Exactly.
It's a color.
It's a color.
Yeah.
It's a color. We quickly transition.
Sure.
Now understand that when I started doing this, gold was $600 an ounce.
Well, and it was still a plating.
It was plated,
Yeah.
and it was plated so thin you could very thin.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah.
And you could tell people it was 24 karat gold, and
Sure.
it was theoretically true.
Yes, I always felt like when you seen the 24 karat, it was more of a seller's aid
Yes.
than it was a maker's aid.
Yes.
So it was more of a persuasion thing.
Well, I used to sell it and point out that 24 karat gold is jewelry quality.
Yes.
So when we were trying to sell pens and it was brand new,
Mhm.
you went out and talked about, well, mine is jewelry quality. Your Bic isn't.
Right.
So you had a selling point. But essentially, nowadays, gold is a color.
Sure.
Um,
We see a lot of gold tie now.
right.
The gold titanium, which is,
right.
I think,
And
very durable.
That's a completely different ballgame. First, we'll do gunmetal, then we'll get there. Gunmetal also is very, very popular. And gunmetal mixes very well with all the rest of the platings. It can be used back and forth with all the platings in it. The other thing is it doesn't clash with anything. So if you're trying to look for platings that you can use, if you have very little artistic eye, and you also don't have another half who knows how to look at these things and gives you an answer, which I do have, then stick to gunmetal because you can't go wrong too far.
Well, just do what I do. Buy one of each plating, and then just sit down and just start swapping parts to see what combination you like best.
Yeah, that can happen too. And,
Yeah.
and typically when you finish a barrel, you can look at it and say, oh, that looks good with that.
But I'll take the chrome, the two-tone chrome, and I'll take, say, the center, the black out, and I'll replace it with the gold band, and then I'll do the same on the cap and same on the nib, and that way black tie mixes great with everything, or the gunmetal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Works very
Yeah,
well.
and the gunmetal, and I'm glad you said black tie because gunmetal and black tie have gotten to look very, very, very similar. So similar that I can't tell the difference on some of our pens. However, the difference in cost is astronomical. So if you may or may not believe me, and I don't blame you if you don't believe me, but there are instances where the base cost of my pen that I'm having made is not as high as the plating cost. When you look at black tie, used to be rhodium, ruthenium, any of those things that you think, gee, that would look really pretty. Platinum.
Yeah.
The plating cost is actually higher than the cost of the piece. So, when I'm looking at our product mix now, I'm looking more and more at try to stick to chrome, black chrome, gunmetal, tie gold. Tie gold is amazing. Because it's been used so much, it is, at least from my plater, it is a very affordable high-end plating. Again, it's not exactly the same color as gold. For those of you who look at it and say, no, it's off color, it's not 24 karat gold. You're right, it's not. One of the things that used to be funny about that, one of the manufacturers used to take Thai gold and plate their products with that, and then put 24 karat gold over the top of it so that the color would be right. Now, the 24 karat gold lasted minutes, and then you had Thai gold that was the same color as Thai gold is. But it also gave a really horrible color that would show up. So again, you see these things happening in the industry, and you wonder whoever dreamed up that idea that wasn't so great. But that manufacturer also isn't around anymore.
So will there at some point be a periodic table of pen plating, so that, sponsored by Exotic Blank, so I can look up? Oh, that's Atomic 16. It's Thai Gold.
Well, Thai Gold's very popular now,
It is.
Yes.
and it looks great.
Yes.
I think. I mean, I don't pair it up with 24 karat gold.
Exactly.
So, Thai Gold on its own, paired up with chrome, is one of my favorite combinations.
Exactly.
Or gunmetal.
Exactly.
Thai Gold and gunmetal.
The thing about Thai Gold is, as you think about it, assuming that you use drill bits from time to time, and you look at your drill bits from time to time, you may have a set of drill bits that is gold colored. That is Thai Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you take that drill bit and you drill through all kinds of materials, and it gets up to smoking hot. But when it cools down, it's still gold. So, look at what are we getting for our money. This plating is as bulletproof as anything can be. So, yeah, Thai Gold is one of my favorites, and essentially, since we started Exotic Blanks, all of the pens that are made for me that are Exotic Blanks exclusives are Thai Gold or chrome or whatever, but I do not use any 24 karat gold or any other gold that claims to be any color, just because to me Thai Gold is affordable
And durable.
And the thing is that it hasn't always been affordable. Thai Gold used to be very expensive and still is with some manufacturers. So the other the other colors that come up, the titanium has been kind of broadened now. You will see titanium gold, wonderful, everybody knows about that. But now you also see blue tie, green tie, red tie. All of these are relatively new. So I got a letter just recently from one of my good customers who's been with me for 1,000,000 years and buys enough. He's a hobbyist. But he pointed out to me that the blue tie is not consistent on one of my pens. That's possible for two reasons. Number one, I've never really looked at it, one versus another side by side. But those were very early blue ties. So it is possible that as time goes on, it will get more and more consistent. But right now, yeah, this is what your blue tie looks like. Are we still on the camera somewhere?
Yep, he's got you in the corner.
Okay, I see you. Okay, so that's what the blue tie looks like. And this is one of ours because it came out of Mark's inventory. Poor Mark. But as you can see, the blue tie is really a pretty dark blue. And he says that sometimes it's dark and sometimes it's not as dark. Now, one of the things I want to find out from him, it is possible. If you look at the center band, it is quite likely that it will be a darker blue than if you look at the end pieces where the coating isn't quite as
Sure.
And if I'm allowed to be totally transparent,
And
Yeah.
Merlin.
I will tell you, as you know, we've had this conversation. When I first started doing this, the standard colors, the silvers, the golds, I like the black, and I wasn't a big fan of all the other colors. Now, when I see what I can do to it, on that pen with the Japanese paper, the origami paper on it,
Yeah.
and the red and stuff like that, it is amazing how it went in my head from being a novelty color to something that really makes it look
Yeah,
pretty exclusive.
accents the blank.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
that one with that blue origami paper, I just think it came out looking great.
And then the green and the red are newer. We've been very successful with those colors. I will say that. But again, it's something that's. So there is a lavender.
It looks great with the origami papers. It looks great a lot of times with label casts.
Okay.
Depending on what you're label casting, you can bring it in. And there's a lot of people just in general who talk about doing team colors and all that other stuff. You label cast and you use something like this, it looks completely different.
Yeah, and what I like about the colors, you can kind of play with them
Let me move that out of your way.
Okay, you slide them back a little.
Yeah, there we go.
You can play with them and mix and match stuff. So I like to disassemble a lot of times what the pens have going on. If it's not just swapping center bands or finials, but I'll take the standard chrome and pop them apart, and then pop the reds and the greens and the blues apart, and even the stainless steels. And I like to just swap out different pieces and kind of get a different color. And it just allows me to have fun with platings. This is the stainless with the black center. And like I said, you can just have all sorts of fun making new pens with the same sets that we're all using, but I just take a small punch rod and tap them apart.
So
One of the things a lot of people don't seem to know, because we've gotten a couple of questions about it this week. These parts, when you look at a part like this, there seems to be an understanding that leaves room for more information. Let's put it that way. This is 3 pieces, guys.
Yeah.
This is not one piece.
Right.
So when you decide, that, for one thing, from time to time, that centerpiece may decide it wants to spin. And if that happens, you can go inside there and put a little blue Loctite on
Blue
the inside
Loctite.
of it.
Yep.
And that'll solve that problem. But for some folks who have written to me, it's the end of the world as we know it. It really isn't all that difficult. And yes, these are 3 separate pieces. They are.
Well, this will kind of give you an idea. You can see the greens. So this green was on here and this silver was on there, and I just swap them out. That way it allows me to put a little more accent on the pen and utilize the color and the plating. Just have a little more fun with it.
And I was going to say this a few minutes earlier. Once again, I don't talk a lot about sales because that's my little domain where I don't like to tell everybody. Here's the difference, though, and you can use this to your advantage. If there are other people, I've done art shows where there's another pen maker down at the other end. I've got stuff that he doesn't have because he hasn't thought about this little detail.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the ability to talk to you. I have the ability to talk to John. I have the ability to talk to you guys about some of the stuff that we're doing. And even little subtle things like this, because now in that green and the silver and the green, I can draw in a color of that blank that I want to dominate, but not over, right? So imagine the one where I've got the green nib and the green center band, trailing band, as I would call it, the trailing band on it, that I have that on there. Now I can use a blank that has some green in it, but it doesn't have to be all green, and I don't have to overwhelm them and beat them over with it. So what I'll do is I'll just bring that in, and based on conversations I've had with the both of you, I use that to my full advantage. Mm-hmm. And what I'll do is I want to do something different than the guy who's got the tent 6 down from me.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and that's where this came to be, because I was making a Grinch Christmas pen. It was a Grinch watch face. And I didn't want the whole thing to be green. I needed some contrast in there. So I basically took a punch rod, and it's basically a punch rod, and it just goes in. And as it's in there, I just hold on to the pen and tap it, and everything just pops apart. And then a little bit of blue Loctite, my pen press, and I put it all back together.
You know, the one thing that you guys have not said yet about the blue Loctite is, and I'll see if anybody else has ever had this problem. When you use super glue, and the minute it gets on your plating or on your fingers or anywhere else, it's done.
Yeah,
you are done.
Yep.
The thing about blue Loctite
epoxy also. It's very difficult to clean off. Yeah.
The thing about blue Loctite, and the first time I used it, I was floored by it.
Yeah.
Because you can put it in, you can push it. If I get a little bit on something like that, I'll just take a paper towel, I'll wipe it all down, I'll let it sit for a good, whatever time is, and the bond is tremendous on it.
I want the blue Loctite to squish out.
Yep.
That way I know I got it in there really well. And then after I push everything together, I'll just pick up a cotton cloth, an old t-shirt, and just wipe it all off and set it there and let it set up. In a few minutes is all it needs.
But now you'll have component sets that nobody else has.
Right.
You'll have the ability to bring it into your blank and tie it into your blank without overwhelming your blank.
Yep. Which is why I said I like the diamond knurl in the ballpoint and the rollerball, because I can have all sorts of fun.
I've had that CA experience. I have.
Yeah, we've all had it.
Nothing is more frustrating than that. Especially, I did it on. I'll just be. on some of the higher end component sets when I was using them before I figured out blue Loctite.
Yep.
Imagine taking a Junior Majestic and throwing it in the garbage because I had spill out.
Yeah. Nah, we've all been there. You know, it happens.
Well, CA will off gas.
Yes.
So if you are ever thinking about using CA anywhere near a plated component, rethink it.
Yep.
Because of you may be able to wipe it off. For example, if it got on this piece, this red piece, you may be able to just take a rag and wipe off the CA. But
it gets crusty, white.
Yes,
foggy.
it gets a white piece, well, just white on it.
Yep.
It will sometimes come off, and sometimes it won't.
And the only time it doesn't dry instantaneously is when it's smearing on everything else. The minute you realize it's smeared on everything else, it dries instantaneously. But up until that point, it didn't dry instantaneously.
So that's more than we need to know about how to take those apart. The only other information about plating, quick couple of words about the antique platings. They're relatively new also. Antique brass, antique copper, silver, pewter, they call it a million things. So far, they have been very good. The other part of that, however, is particularly the antique pewter, silver, whatever you want to call it, the one that's that color. When they plate it, it will sometimes come out looking like it has scratches in it. So if you are sensitive to scratches and you think your antique plating should not have scratches in it, my first question is, how did it get to be an antique and never get scratched?
Yeah, it's kind of a patina that they add to that. Right.
I don't know exactly what it is. It seems to be only on the pewter ones.
It almost looks like they're using something similar to rub and buff, right?
Okay.
They're filling those crevices with something darker, and then they're hitting all the high spots to expose the shine and leave all the antiquing, so to speak, in the depths.
That's possible, but it is one thing we've had people complain about. By the way, anytime you get anything from us, if you don't like it, return it. We're perfectly happy to take things back and give you refunds. We realize that requires shipping in both directions, and that's a pain in the neck for both of us. But bottom line is, you don't have to keep anything just because you bought it. If you don't like it, return it. Particularly if you bought 10 of them and you want to return 10 of them. That makes all the sense in the world.
So does that mean after I take a center punch and I knock all these pieces apart and I don't like it, I can just give you the bag of parts back?
I had that question yesterday, as a matter of fact.
I wouldn't recommend that. I'm probably one of the few guys that buys them and then takes hammers to them and disassembles them all.
So that's so much information about platings, and
we got 2 more pages
we got
of
2
plating.
more pages of platings, but we'll do them fast. We don't want to get too bogged down. Black tie, yeah, is expensive. Black tie, however, now comes from a medium black to a very black, and I'm now working with my plater in China, and we are going to be offering 2 different colors of gunmetal, not black tie. Black tie is too expensive to play with, but we're going to try to get 2 different flavors of gunmetal so that we can get the look of black tie at the cost of gunmetal. And I think you're going to like it. So far, the samples that I've seen are really good. So be prepared. As a matter of fact, one of them we already have, so it will be out. To the person who creates the M&Ms, go find your wife. The satin series, there's a lot of satin colors that are out there. They also have been good. I suggest one of the reasons I brought this pen. Used to be I talked a lot about not wanting to have gold because I thought gold would wear. One of the things about choosing where your platings are, if you have something like like this particular layout where the gold is only used as an accent color, there's never any wear to that point. That goes in and out of your pocket. You don't have to worry about people holding it. It's not some place that you're going to get wear. So if you want to put any of the questionable platings in, put them someplace where nobody's ever going to touch them. So as we come to these questions of the satin series particularly, I offer satin. Well, here's one. I offer mixes of the chrome and satin chrome because I think it really pulls out the chrome. I think it really looks cool,
Mhm.
and it's cheap.
And you have both versions, don't you?
Yes, I have
You have the
a
A and
bundle
B.
of different versions to
Yeah.
try to get all of them together with each
where
other.
the chrome and the satin are actually flip-flopped.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But this is the one that I always recommend to people because that's where your finger's going to be.
Yep.
And if your finger's going to be on the part that's going to be shiny, even if you wear it, all you're doing is making it shinier. So, when you look at these things, think. And if you want to get something especially durable, think about where their fingers are going to be and think about how that's going to impact your plating over time. I had a guy a truck driver one time who was a customer, and he bought 10 karat gold. And I said, 10 karat gold is very durable. It'll work out very well for you because it's an alloy. Should be great. Guy came back 2 weeks later. The thing was chrome. And he said, you want to try again? And I really was taken aback. I had no idea. As it turns out, we got to know each other pretty well because I didn't accept that very well. And he said, no, I can do that to anything. He said, the sweat, my body sweats, and it will take that plating off of anything. So there are people out there who are just going to ruin the pen, but those people know it. And usually it's as I said, he turned out to be a good customer. He just bought a lot of chrome. So you can find people like that. Silver, sterling silver, you'll still probably not see that anymore. Sterling silver was one that Berea had a lot of interest in, and they made it beautiful, sterling silver. But even they stopped doing it a couple of years ago when there was some controversy over whether it was truly sterling or not.
You see a lot of the custom guys using some of that.
Yes. The custom guys are using solid silver.
Yeah.
Solid silver is it's going to work.
Yeah.
And Redburn is fantastic with it.
Yes.
If you're talking about Mike
Yep.
Redburn, he is fantastic with it. If you, the audience, are looking for real beautiful pens that are handmade, that are made from scratch, Mike Redburn on the IAP is the place to look. He can make a pen out of anything from scratch. But that's where silver is. In his case, it's an element, not just a plating. Last one that I have listed is copper and rose gold. Again, it's one of those that I used to think I didn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole because copper corrodes. Mixed reviews on that. Some of the rose golds have worked really well. Some of them have worked for trash. And right now, I would say you're safer just not going that route. But I say that with some trepidation because a percentage of them worked fine. Good luck.
I agree with you 100% on that one. I mean, that honestly, that's why I like coming here. You're just being open and honest about it. And the rose gold one for me is the one that I'm always iffy on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Having talked to you, I know which ones are the ones that I want to use, and it's never been about how much. But when I first started it, rose gold was typically a problem for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of luck with the rose gold, but I've really liked the copper. because it just seems to go well with some of the distillery barrel blanks.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's copper
Yeah.
in his bourbon or whiskey or whatever,
Mhm.
and like the turkey feathers because they've got that bronze copper hue to them, that iridescence. So copper is great for an accent. When you need something to match the blank.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about the turkey feathers because I'm still on the waiting list to get them.
Most people are.
yeah.
I don't like turkey feathers. I make very little turkey feathers.
I'm
They're
on the
hard.
waiting list.
And the antique copper is a good choice.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a copper that will actually work, the antique copper is a fine choice. The last comments about platings, we talked about the gold having been 24 karat. The other comment, there has been in the industry what they call 3-micron gold. That was a Dayacom product. And Dayacom's 3-micron gold was 3 microns of gold. Dayacom was not afraid to charge $200 for a pen kit. There aren't any others out there that are going to be doing that. So I don't know for sure what's going to happen to gold, real gold, but you really probably want to be very leery of anybody that comes out and says they're using real gold.
It's all going in our cell phones.
Well, it's $5,000 an ounce. And realistically, yes, there are very, very, very thin platings. 3 microns is very, very thin. But it's still $6,000 an ounce.
Yeah.
So you still have got a ton of investment there. Yeah. And we used to get our stained glass plated in 24 karat gold, so I know a little about it. It's almost impossible to get it done in the United States because of pollution control.
Okay.
There's the runoff is a problem, and so
Throw that page away.
throw that page away.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna interrupt here.
Go ahead.
So we're an hour in. It's 7:00. So it's our midpoint, and it's time to talk about giveaways.
I was literally, I walked away. Dean, you just got a text from me that said, "Do you want to talk about the giveaways?" That's what
Our
I did
giveaway
off camera.
Yeah, our giveaway today is for everybody. I just pasted it up. The giveaway is a rare thing for exotics. There's a coupon code for tonight. The coupon code is YTPen. Stands for YouTube Pens, which we're talking about pens. It's $10 off. In general, the rules are 1 per customer, $100 minimum order to get that coupon code to work, and it expires 8 a.m. tomorrow. So it's for the guys who are sitting with us live tonight. So everybody, there's the code. I will put it up again a couple more times, but that's our giveaway for tonight. Everybody gets
What's the
$10 off.
And if you want to spend that $10, you can actually put in the comments and ask that you want the order picked by John tonight.
I'm just hold on. I'm going to place a quick order.
I
And I
just
see
placed
somebody
one.
who's put
I
it-
just placed one, and I'm bummed out that I didn't get my
I
$10
know.
off.
And you got
So
to
somebody
pick your
in
own.
it.
And I had to pick my own.
No. No. People are starting to type the UT pen. No, you
So
do
it's
not
not
need to type
something
it
you're
in-
going to win. It's something you've already won.
Everybody's won.
Yep.
Everybody's won. When you check out on the site, go and put it on. There's a coupon code spot on the site. Put it in the coupon code when you check out. This one's for everybody. You don't have to put it in YouTube. All right. Show's half done or so, so let's keep moving.
Okay. Well, we get into actual pens, by golly. enough talking. So, we're going to start by talking a little bit about.
Before we do it, John, Dean, let's clear up too. Were there any questions on the side that we want to cover before we jump in? I think it's a good point. And someone did talk about this, and this is a John blank. Someone talked about the M&M blank. If you want to throw
yes.
that one.
So
Flip it the other way. That's a cool thing.
I can't read it.
No, the other way it was a W and W. Now it's an M&M. But someone asked about the M&M, and John, that's a real candy bar wrapper, correct?
So there was 2 questions earlier that I think that I caught. One was that somebody asked about deep pour epoxy, where you don't need, you wouldn't need to put it under pressure. The other one was they asked if there's any feedback on the everlasting pencils.
Yes, there's feedback on the everlasting pencils. It is not as black as a normal pencil. My suggestion on it is simply buy one and see if you like it. It is very subjective. You know, it is an everlasting, quote, everlasting pencil. It does make a line, and the line is gray, not black. Now, you can also argue that if you've ever seen a lead line, it's gray too. It's a grayer gray. So one of the, understand that this is new technology, and some people are going to think it's great, and some people aren't.
So is it more like a graphite scratch?
Yeah,
Under
Okay.
under
that's not far away.
Okay.
under extensive testing,
Hmm?
66.7% of the people have liked it. It means that I gave it to 3 people, 2 liked it, and 1 went, I'm not really a big fan of this one. So my
I've got some in the
extensive
shop.
testing
I haven't
is
used them
is
yet.
3.
I've got some on the workbench. I was going to use them in the shop just for marking some area, wood and whatnot, but just haven't.
Yeah, it's
And John, do you want to talk real quick about deep pour epoxy? I mean, we all know the challenges of it.
Yeah, the problem with epoxies are pick a day of the week. There's a new one out there. They're so broad, and they can be different. They can be 1-to-1. They can be 1-to-2 mixture. The problem with the epoxies, obviously, the deeper you're going to pour them, the more you're going to have to worry about air. So we always recommend if it's something that won't fit in the pressure pot, and it's a deep pour it in thinner layers. Just read the instructions. It'll tell you what's best for getting air out. A lot of guys use a heat gun or an open flame. The biggest problem, again, with epoxies is how long it takes to cure. But if you just don't want to use a pressure pot in your casting, my recommendation is get over that and use it. It's there for a reason. Better to be safe than sorry. I use resins that don't always require pressure, and I put them in the pressure pot anyhow because it's better to compress all that air than worry about if it's there later and realize how much money you're out and how much time you're out in your project.
So back to you, Ed.
oh, I'm so lucky. So now let's get into actual talking about pens, various styles of pens. As I said, the Slimline is the first one we're going to talk about because it is actually, by number of units sold, it is the most popular pen we sell. And I think that's true of everybody in the industry. So, so let's start off with saying, when I started doing this, 1995, there was one pen available, and it was the Slimline.
Yep.
And that black line on the
Yep.
on the clip was part of the design, and the pen came in gold. So that was what we had. Then, sometime in, they expanded, doubled the offerings, and it became available in chrome. So, now we had gold and chrome. And then as time went on, they started to expand it a lot.
A lot.
A lot. And they put a little ball on the end of the clip, and they made the center band so that it was a little raised in the middle. Now, that doesn't look like a big change, but I'll tell you, it really was a big change because that was the first time that I learned that when you're turning a wood or plastic or whatever you're turning, and you're turning it to a center band that has a dimension, doesn't have to be as accurate as it had to be before. When you were going straight to straight, you really had a problem if you didn't have it dead right. Now, it didn't have to be dead right anymore. So part of it was that it expanded the way that we could turn, and
That's when I met you, when you were doing that, and I remember that design. I love that design.
well, that's the thing. Excuse me. That's the thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, is that this also opened up some design ideas. This pen was simple, straight, and that was the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
When they started getting additional, now you see this one is longer than that one, and quite a bit longer down here. That's actually one of the pens that was made after the Dick Sing model. It wasn't. This one was not a Father Sing pen, but it is a pen that was made during that time frame, basically copying Dick's designs. Um, and it gave you some additional room so you could start to put a little dimension to it. It didn't have to be straight one end to the other. And as time went on, it got also so that the clip at the top also was a little bit farther. Oh, I'm over here. Sorry. Also was a little bit farther away. So now you could start to put a little ball at the top too if you wanted to. So it was my designs as time went on. I started putting a little ball at the top and I started making this a little bit sloped down for a couple of reasons. Number one, there was another guy at the show who was also doing slimline pens, and I didn't want to look like his. And number two, it was kind of interesting, and it also opened up some ideas that I had before that. Your slimline clip could actually there's a hole in there that is there for this cap to go through. Um, you could take a Dremel tool and carve out that hole a little bit farther, and you could make enough room in there that you could make the ball a little bit larger. Once again, something that my esteemed competition did not have. One of the things that I've always thought about as pen maker is what can I do to this? I am nowhere near as clever as John Underhill, but
You're just busier.
I can figure out how to make a hole larger. And I know how to use a Dremel tool. So some of the things that can be done here are things that just think as you are looking at your pen.
I'm embarrassed to say I took the cheaper, easier route on it. I used to take the clip and bend it.
Okay.
And I would bend it just a little bit. And the thing about it would still press in where I wanted it to.
That's good.
It'd be a little shorter.
Mm.
Nobody would know because you wouldn't know what it was supposed to look like. But I would literally bend it a little bit, and that would give me just enough of an arc.
Yep. As I say, what we see here,
I still have the first 3 pens that I ever bought from you.
what we see is
You didn't bring them?
a transition.
No, I bought 5. I sold 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
I sold 2 of them under my name, but the other 3 I kept.
I doubt that. You see a transition here. You see that you can see the industry moving a little bit and people taking advantage of it to some extent. Now, the other thing that you can do with a slimline that I hear frequently, people don't believe, you just don't think of it, I guess. You can make a slimline into a much fatter pen. All you have to do is get rid of that, what we used to call the wasp waist
That stock center
band.
Yep.
Get rid of that, and you can make your own center band, and you can make it into a much different looking pen.
Well, essentially, that's basically where the Euro came about first.
Exactly.
Converted a slim into a Euro, and then they decided, well, maybe we should just make the Euro set, and people don't have to do this.
Yeah, and it's Virgil. Don Ward.
Don Ward, yeah.
Don Ward wrote a book about this.
Yep.
So if any of you are interested in exploring it farther, it's an old book, but it's still valid.
Yep.
Don Ward had a lot of information in there that was very good information. So, take a look at that. Of course, Dick Singh wrote several books about different kinds of slimline adaptations as well. And his books, I read all of his books first. I didn't even know about Don Ward at the time I was doing this. The last thing I'll say about slimlines is some guys really had interesting tools. And this is made on I think a Rose engine lathe, but I'm not sure. What I don't
That
know
or a
about.
Pen Wizard.
It wasn't a pen wizard, but
No.
yeah. But you can see that they came up with new ideas. One of the things I want to point out as I start this presentation with pens, I made a lot of pens. Yes, I made probably 10,000 pens plus that I sold at shows. However, when Smitty was trying to get out of the industry because he was not healthy, I bought Smitty's operation. A couple of years after that, he died, and his wife had a whole mess of pens that Smitty had gotten from various other people. So I bought that collection. So when you see a lot of this stuff here, I am not taking credit for having made it. I bought it. I bought it because Mrs. Smith had no idea what to do with pens, and she got substantially more than it was worth. But all in all, these are not pens that I made. I don't want to pass them off as pens that I made. In many cases, I'll let you know if I made this one. So that's the Slimline. Also, both the Slimline does have a pencil available, and it has a click pen available. Honestly, neither one of them were anything to brag about, and so I don't have a wide selection of any of that stuff because I tried not to sell it.
Is it okay to make one comment?
Sure,
As a
absolutely.
closing on the Slimline?
Sure.
It's the thing in the blue. I mean, I know everybody always says, and you mentioned that real early on,
Yep.
that when you first start out, a lot of people say Slimline is the first pen that you should start with. I disagree completely.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Diamond Neural, the Sierra series, something like that, a single barrel pen. A lot less of the form and design that you can get with some of the stuff that you just talked about. And the precision I just being blunt, the precision to make a Diamond Neural or a Sierra, if you will, is nowhere near the precision that you need to make a Slimline.
Sure.
A Slimline, you're getting down to veneers at the end. If you pull that one apart and look at the top, it's a veneer around the tube.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I always tell people, I would still rather, when I teach classes and stuff like that, I teach them starting out on the single barrel
Yep.
Sierra type pen. Then I usually will take them up to a double barrel pen, and I will pick. The only reason I pick the Diamond or the Vertex Supreme is you don't ever have to worry about lining things up.
Mm-hmm.
As you get better, when you're doing the screw-on caps, we now start to think about lining things up, and you add to your talent and you add to where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to the Slimline. The Slimline would be the third in the choice because, as you said, I think a lot of people look at it as but when you look at it and you get to do all that extra little slimming it out and rolling it around and stuff like that, it's a really good looking pen.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to see it, I'll watch in the comments on here, but I know for a fact that guys like bigger, thicker pens, women like a slightly more petite pen. And so I have both of those in mind.
Mm-hmm.
A short little story. Don't tell my wife I ever told you this. I started her on Slimline pens. And then when she realized she could make two Sierras in the same time that she could make a Slimline pen, she started making Sierras because she just likes being downstairs and making pens. But there's still something elegant about a really nice Slimline. The balance on it can be incredible. And it's one of the ones that really, if you take a look at, can you take the one closest to you?
Mm-hmm.
To me, when you put that in your hand, that most conforms to your hand. Because the little pocket of my web of my hand there, that bigger part's going to go into it and it's going to taper down. That conforms to my hand and it will lay so much nicer in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, you got a lot of options with that pen.
And being, as people think, I'll start with this one. It's very easy to mess up.
Oh yeah.
If you drilled it improperly, didn't clear the hole, you get a wobble in your drill bit because of material buildup in there. Now it's out of round. You're going to cut into that when you.
You know what the hardest part about it is?
So
the hardest part about it is setting the transmission.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is pushing it
Yeah.
in, not pushing it. Everybody says push it into that little line on there. No, the only problem with that is if I undercut the barrel or I didn't cut the barrel enough, it's not going to be where it wants.
Yeah.
I've got that bolt that I use, and you've probably seen it. If you could check out one of my videos, I'm not laying, much like Ed, I'm not laying claim to coming up with that idea, but I've got a bolt that I use that I put up into it that's got a nut on it that will set that transmission in there perfectly for me. And I learned that one on IAP.
The other way to do it, which I did for years, I made a dowel and then put a hole in the dowel that was bigger than that diameter. That dowel was exactly, I believe it was 4 inches. It might be 3.89 or something. it is the exact dimension that this
Yeah.
has to
Yeah.
be.
You can't
in
press
order-
it any deeper.
Nope, you can't put it in any farther,
Yep.
and it exactly matched what you needed to get this
Yep.
this refill in right. Understand, with all the stuff we do, all the refills are the same length. If you have a cross refill, it's always going to be the same length. If you have a Parker, it's always going to be the same length. So anything that you do that is dependent on where that refill is never going to change. So you can play around with the different things that you can use. And yes, that screw arrangement was a really clever idea. Skiprat came up with that originally.
Yeah.
And very clever idea.
Yeah.
Way too complex for my liking.
I
Boom, there it's done.
press it in and I'd screw the transmission, check it a little bit more,
Yeah.
and hope I didn't go too far. I'd knock the tip off and come back in and knock it out. But I've given a lot away to women. I've had a lot of women at work over the years ask for them, and they wanted them as thin as you could make them because they want them in their checkbooks.
It's a checkbook pen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Checkbook pen was always good.
But if I were going to make them for myself, and I love making the 7mm, the first thing I did was I bought a bunch of Comfort pen center bands
Mm-hmm.
and threw all the slim center bands away
Mhm.
so that I could make it a little bit larger, like the custom one you have.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
and I never used the rubber grip either. I always seem to chuck
No,
that. and
that's-
just-
Yeah, I was never a big fan
So,
of that one.
but I like the shape.
That took away from the amount of material you had. If you
Yeah.
use that thing, it was this far in it,
Yep.
this far in it, and you got rid of all that, and the rest of it looked crappy.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I love the Comfort pen though.
Yeah.
But once I got into the Parkers, I got away from all the cross, and now I just like the way especially a Parker with an Easy Flow 9000. So it's hard to beat.
I just bought some Easy Flow 9000s. Joe, we'll
Yeah.
be having them in your truck on the way home.
Well, you might have half of them when you get home.
one thing that we do have now that's new, and I should have had one and I forgot. There is the pen that we call the Dawn. It is a variant of the Slimline. It does use a Parker refill, so it writes better, but it's very, very close to a Slimline. If you're going to make them, they're really nice pens. There is a video on our website that shows how to make it. It is the first pen I've ever encountered where I had to put the click mechanism in through the nib. It comes in through the bottom of the pen. And if you try to do it any other way, let me know how you made it work.
It's
Because
the
I
first-
tried a dozen ways before I read the instructions.
I think it's the first pen I ever did where I had to read the instructions. I rarely read the instructions, but I do
either.
like it. It affords me that, in the rare case, it's a nice thin click,
Yep.
which gives me the medical profession is dying for a pen like that.
Yep.
You put in a nice refill into that one because now I'm getting into the Parker refills on
Yep.
it. You put that Parker refill in it, it's an incredibly well done pen.
Yeah.
Well, and for guys that sell, for people that are selling, anytime I swap out the stock ink and I put one of them Parkers, Easy Flow 9000s, everybody I ever give a pen to, the first thing they say is, "Oh, it writes so smooth."
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the Easy Flow 9000.
Yep.
So.
And I have 12 of them and a half now in the car. Not 25.
Okay, from there we go into the easiest pen to make, actually. The original Sierra, which is where this style came from, was made by Berea. And that's why you'll hear me, at least, talk about often Sierra style, because there now are just dozens of different pens that look like this, but they are essentially, there's some advantages to one versus another, but basically we'll go through it rather rapidly because I think most of you know what a Sierra looks like. The first version of it had the round top. That is still, the pens that I offer now, that would be the Diplomat. It's a round top Sierra. The The next one after that was the Sierra Vista, there it is, Elegant Sierra.
Yeah,
The Elegant has got a squarish top.
much easier to press together.
True, much easier to
You
press.
you don't get any of that sliding or out of center when you're trying to press them like you will with the ball.
Yeah. That has become kind of the standard now. Most of the pens that you're going to see have got that that design. Takeoffs of it. Well, how many pens do we want to get in here? It has been changed to have recess in it. Mine, the original one, does have the ability to put a stylus on it, so it can come with a stylus or without it. But basically, all of these are the same thing, with some differences internally. Again, Mark and John both talked kindly about it. My Diamond Knurl, what I did differently is change that design so that the way that you took apart
This is a big change. It's really good.
the way that you took apart a pen, originally the Sierra, was you pulled the cap off. Let's move these for the moment. You pulled the cap off like that, and then you could work with it this way. Okay, you could play with it with your fingers. Now, apparently they didn't like that idea, and so somebody came up with a genius thought that, well, instead of taking that off, you could unscrew it. Now that sounds pretty good. Sounds like it's probably not a bad idea. I'm looking to see where I am.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so you unscrew it. The difficulty with that turned out to be that up in here, in there, is your transmission. And you had to unscrew it. But if you pushed it back and then pushed instead of unscrewing, and I don't know, this one isn't, it would push the transmission back up far enough that this piece wouldn't reach it. And now you have you have to call your friendly local repair guy and tell him to get it out of there. Now, I designed a tool where I took one of these ends and just cut it off there and attached it to another piece so that I could push this in far enough that I would be able to grab it. So when they came to the shows and said, I can't get this together, and I had a tool that I grabbed, put it in, what was the problem?
I got a surgical scalpel.
Okay, that'll
I've
work.
got a surgical scalpel with a huge bend in it that I can get into it and pull it out.
I had long needleless pliers that I'd pull them out, and it would make me second guess how many guys at work I actually gave free pens to. Like, yeah, they just created more work for me.
So yeah, it's interesting that all the guys had a way of solving the problem, so it tells you pretty well it was a problem.
It was a problem.
So when I designed the Diamond Knurl, do I even have a Diamond Knurl here? I don't know.
Yeah, Diamond Knurl.
I've got one. I'm sure I have to have one. There we go. That looks like one. Let's see here.
You'll know in a second.
This is.
Yeah, he's got one.
Yep, I got one.
Yes, that's my favorite.
So if we take this and unscrew it here, we can put our refill in from this part of the pen. And that's the whole big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, the other big deal about it is
people were intimidated to pull the pen apart and have to, and then lose a part or drop it on the floor. And this way it was very simple.
Doing it this way, the other when I show it to people, because I always show it to them when they do it. I don't want to say anything about the other models, but that's kind of an ugly looking thing to look at, that transmission.
Yes.
Now it's just sleek, and I just show them the unscrew it here. Everybody knows what a refill looks like, so that I'm not adding anything to anything there.
Yeah. The other thing is, it happened and I had no idea it was going to. I knew I wanted to be able to replace the back end with the stylus back end.
Well, and you wanted John to be able to swap parts without using a hammer.
I
So-
knew I wanted to be able to do that. So I had this threaded so that I would be able to do that. What it turned out to have as a fringe benefit, that's that transmission that you were pushing up too far. So if it turns out that your customer does figure out a way to push it up too far, they can take the back end off and push it back down. So it's easy to fix the problem, even though the problem shouldn't exist. So once in a while, you get really lucky, and often I get really lucky. I design these things and send them out and have them manufactured, and people have asked me, why don't you get thousands manufactured at one time? Because when it comes back, I want to find out if it worked and if I made any mistakes. So, yeah, we do these things extremely slowly. That's exactly correct. But when it comes back, it works. And if it doesn't, you never see it. There is a garbage disposal here. So when I make mistakes, and I do, they end up as being thrown out.
We should just take his garbage out for him.
Yeah,
Oh.
I can't get to the garbage.
John, you know, for on occasion we've gotten some of the stuff he doesn't want anymore, and I love it.
I've got a box over there for you, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the round top, is the Diplomat, the Diamond Knurl, the Awareness, the Thank You, the Ellipse, and the Zodiac. We got a million of them. But basically, those are the pens that are going to be your day in and day out pen. And they're available in a million platings. That's why I wanted to talk about the platings first, or we do have a ton of them. Go ahead, Mark.
So two things that I'll give you credit for on there too is, I hate to say it this way, there's a little bit more play in your barrel.
Yep.
And so one of the things that I know for a fact on some of the other ones when I was first doing them, two of the biggest challenges with Sierra, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this one coming up, is if you ever underturned it, you under trimmed it when you were doing it on there, the nib would hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And you would not believe how many people on Facebook say, well, just take the pen, the refill, take the plastic part off, buzz it against the sanding center and put the plastic on. Well, that works great until they need a new refill,
Right.
and the next refill sits on the outside. So that's a big one. And the other thing that
You know how to fix that permanently, though, right?
just a little, go ahead.
Take an 8mm drill pen tube and then slice off about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch and put that over your thread so the transmission sits higher
Yeah.
on the threads.
The other thing, the other thing that I
Don't
wanted.
ask me how I learned that one.
The other thing that I wanted to talk to about this one too is, and I don't want to disparage on some of the other ones, but if on occasion I've had a transmission problem with them,
Mhm.
where I've put it together and when you spin it, the pen doesn't come out and the pen doesn't go back in, and the refill doesn't come in and out. What I wind up doing is I will pull it off that transmission. I will take a needle nose pliers and just slowly crimp on it to make the top oval now,
Mhm.
and then it'll hook in there and it'll work perfectly fine. No one in the world would know it unless you saw the work, but that has nothing to do with the way that I built it. That's just, for lack of a better phrase, slopping the tolerance when this thing
That's
was
right.
being made.
That's right.
I know that there's
Also, gunk in the tube, like any leftover epoxy,
yes.
may affect how it twists and how smooth it retracts. So,
yeah, if it's really hard to turn,
Yep.
there's nothing you can do other
Clean
than
that
pop
tube.
it out and clean that tube out and
Yep.
put it back in. But if it spins and
Yeah.
spins and spins,
Yeah.
simply take the transmission, take a set of needle nose pliers, just a hair, crimp it,
Yep.
and you're gonna make it oval,
Make it
and then
longer.
it's just gonna go right in and it'll be perfect.
Another thing I'll do is stretch the spring.
Yes.
Stretch the spring a little bit more when I assemble it. That way, it puts more tension on that ink refill so that it comes in and out a little quicker.
Yes. Yes.
The other thing that you should be aware of, there's a couple of more things in that regard. The pen does come as a click pen, and various different manufacturers make it. Again, it's one of those things where I have a video on how to do the click if you're using ours, because it's not intuitive. But if you do it right, I have taken a pen that I made for that purpose, and I take it with me when I go out and visit clubs. I have held it at shoulder height and dropped it on cement floors upside down so that it will hit the plunger 20 times plus, and it still clicks.
That pheasant
So-
feather is gorgeous.
Yeah, well, I got a good friend that does pheasant feathers.
Wow.
So it worked
That
out
is
well for
a
me.
gorgeous pen.
But basically, the click pens do work, and that it's not a bad design.
Oh, it's a good design.
The thing about click, well, the Gatsby is a very popular pen. It's a Penn State product. We sell it. And a lot of people apparently put that together first. Understand a few things about click pens and finial twist pens. If you're dealing, excuse me, if you're dealing with a click or a finial twist, the dimension here is critical, because this has to click, and that mechanism has to work with just the right length of that pen refill. So when you're dealing with click mechanisms or finial twists, you cannot goof with the length of your barrel. However, when you're dealing with a body twist, which this is, you can make, on mine at least, I haven't done it on every one, but on mine, there is almost a quarter of an inch of adjustment, if you want to call it that. This tube starts out at 2.2 inches long. It will function just fine and dandy at 2.03. I've done it. So you've got 0.2 inches to play with, and cut it off if you aren't careful.
The one thing I'll tell you is, as a maker, I learned this the hard way. Not because you just hit it right on it. Not all Sierra tubes are the same length.
That's right.
When you buy them, and you then, I a lot of times I'll pre-drill and make 25 blanks, and do the painting and everything else on it, and just then when I make the pen, throw the tube in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it didn't work the first couple times. When I realized I got to make sure, I got to be cognizant of what size tube that is for what components that I'm using.
And my good friend John Underhill bought some one time and found out that they were the wrong size too, if I recall right.
Yeah, 27/64 is the right dimension.
That was the
length
juniors.
changes.
Oh, as a junior?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I bought the junior apprentice instead of the junior.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the other one.
Junior gen.
Yeah, but there's two. What is it? There's the artesian. Yeah, I bought the apprentice
artisan.
instead of the artisan. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's the best thing to do is stick with the pieces that come with the set that you buy.
Now, the
I
best thing to
used to
do
do
is,
the-
once you find a set that you buy, try to keep that one in mind.
Use that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, as I say, some of these guys can do 50 different sets. Good for them.
Yeah.
I did 5. I had 5 that I used all the time, and,
yeah,
and
that's
that
kind of
was
where I'm at.
that all I could do. But that's basically what you need to know about the Sierra style. The body twist is, in my opinion, the easiest pen to deal with, but the finial twist, there's certainly something to be said for it. And the click pen is reliable, and Gatsby is a good pen. So if you're looking for any of the different possibilities, they're all available in this style pen. But as I say, the finial and the click are far more demanding, which still is, as pens go, both ends are the same size. So, it really isn't higher math to put together any of those pens. They're awfully easy.
Well, and the more important thing is, you already have all the tooling.
Yeah.
You already have all the drill bits
Yep.
you need. The weird thing is, when you get into the capped pens, you're going to get into 12.5 and 10.5. But there's a couple of them that don't use 12.5 and
Yep.
they don't use 10.5.
And grain orientation
Yes,
and
and all-
patterns. And
I think it's a great pen to start with. That to me is your quote unquote beginner pen. And when I teach, like I just came back, as you know, Ed.
Mhm.
I mean, I taught at the AAW and we had learn to turns and stuff like that. All I used was diamond knurls in there because they're a fantastic pen, and that single barrel really gets you where you want to go.
The other
So
thing
two
about
comments that just came in that are probably really good to point out. Harold did say some Sierra pens are 3/8, not 27/64. So there is some variations on the mechanisms, the bushings, the
That's
drill
correct.
bits.
Yep.
The other one Lawrence put, and that's a really good point too, is he says he finds he gets the tube to fit better with a letter drill bit. And that's one interesting thing is even though your kit may say 3/8 or 27/64, especially depending on some of the materials we use, the true stones, some of the acrylics, etc., you might have to go up or down a little bit with the drill bit to really make something work well.
And Dean, you meant to say component set, not kit. Right?
Thank you. Dean. Thanks for bringing.
Oh, I saw the reaction in the monitor. I saw the reaction in the monitor.
So
Dean,
so
did you
Mark,
hear
I don't know
something?
where you're getting your component sets from because all Exotic sells are pen kits.
So let me just say this on a serious note. I say this all the time. When people talk about this one, the last thing you want to do is be at an art show or a craft show and say that I use this kit.
Yeah.
You know, because people are going to come into your booth and they're going to ask you. You know, I love when people come into my booth and they think they're smarter than I am. And they'll go, where'd you get this Sierra? I don't name any of mine Sierra. I don't name them anything related to it. But the last thing you want to do is when you're talking to a customer and say that, yeah, I love the gold on this kit, what are they going to assume? They assume that you made a model and you just glued stuff together and you put it in. So I have been the trailblazer, I think, in trying to get them to call it component sets. Now, that being said, when I talk to Ed, we call them kits, right? Because that's what you've got to sell.
Yeah.
But I will tell you the biggest mistake you can make when you're trying to sell something is use the word kit because it cheapens your work. But I appreciate what you said, Dean.
I
really
appreciate
do.
the input because it reminds me of something. You're absolutely right, material. One of the things that happens in the industry a lot is I get people that say, well, your instructions said do this. My original instructions were almost 4 pages long. And the number of people who complained about the fact that they had to read that much in order to be able to put together the pen were immense. And so I was pressured to change my instructions. My original instructions said, and still should say, what you're drilling makes a difference as to what size your drill bit should be. If you are drilling true stone and you drill it the same size as you're going to drill for a smaller hole, when you assemble that, you are going to crack the true stone.
Yep.
So understand that the material that you're dealing with makes a tremendous amount of difference. If you're drilling wood, you will drill, particularly wood that's not been around for 1 million years. Now, there are exceptions to everything, and there's an exception to this. If you are drilling wood that still has a moisture content, and you put your drill bit through it and it's 37 or 27/64, and you pull your drill bit out, that hole is not 27/64 anymore. It will start to close immediately because it's got enough moisture left in it that it's going to be a closed hole. So when you talk about what should you drill that with, you should drill it with something slightly larger. I have a fruit fly. That's not a twitch, but you should drill it with something slightly larger.
You know,
I used to look at all my pen kits and figure I could do it, particularly for the Sierra version. Everything I did was 10.5 millimeter, but I did nothing but plastics.
Yeah, until it's Seboplast. Then you want to go a little lower because anything with a lower melting point is
Yep.
going to start to stretch on you under heat. So
Yep.
you just have to know your
I
material.
will tell you a couple things as a production maker. Let me give you a couple things. First and foremost, I drill them all, and then I don't try to glue them right away. I let them. I let them, go back down, and I won't well, let's be honest, my wife won't glue them or paint them till the next day.
Mhm.
Because then she'll actually test the tube in it.
That's right.
And if I have to go back in and nick it out, I'm fine. But I've given it a time to expand in that heat,
Exactly.
and then I've given it enough time for that heat to dissipate.
Exactly.
If, as you said, Ed, if I pull it out and I immediately put in a tube and glue it,
Mhm.
it's going to glue, but then it's going to glue really tight. And every time you go to do that assembly, anytime you're off a little bit, you're going to chip and crack it because it's adhered to something smaller. So I will let mine cool back down. And if I have to go back in just a hair to re-drill it back in, I'll do that on it. I also, because you know that I paint all my acrylics,
Who does?
my wife paints all my acrylics.
Got that cleared up.
The only one that I over drill is the 7mm. I'll drill it at 930 seconds.
Okay, that's possible.
I think I've got a 930 seconds bit, which just is a hair bigger. That gives me enough room. I find that there's enough play of letting it acclimate back down on the 10.5s, the 12.5s, the 10mm, the cigar pens, even the 27/64s, that I can get a Q-tip in there and I can get the thin coat of paint in there. But on a slimline, I have found that I really can't.
Yep.
And so what I'll do is over drill it at 930 seconds. That allows me to get into it. Once again, let it acclimate, let it dry back down, then put the tube in and glue it. And it's basically an overnight process. It'd be great to do it all in one, but you don't realize then you glue it, and then 3 days later after you turn it, you go to assemble and it's really tight, and you can't associate that it might have been something that I did so far ago in the gluing process and I didn't let it acclimate and it adhered because it went in and then it tightened up. That hole, as you said, will tighten up right after you pull the drill bit out. When it's still warm, you're going to be fine. And then I guarantee you will have a couple of them, especially on 12.5mm. That is usually the worst one for me, that 12.5mm will close itself up. The rest of them, I'm usually okay, but at 12.5 on that top barrel, it will close up, and it's not uncommon that the second day I have to go through it again. The nice thing about it is it's a cool drill bit. The drill bit is cool at that point. Remember, if I'm production drilling, I've got a warm drill bit on I got a cool drill bit on the first one, a warm drill bit on number 2 and 3, a hot drill bit on number 4 and 5, and then a scalding hot one on number 6. And that number 6 is getting a lot more heat into the blank that then the minute I pull that blank out, it's going to reacclimate and that hole's going to go that way.
Yep.
So take that for what it is. That's just one of my points that I would tell you as a production guy.
So I think we've killed that topic, and we're down to capped pens, and we have 10 minutes to get capped pens done. So let's see if we can do it. 10 minutes.
It's going to bummer because we got a whole second half of this presentation.
This is the area where you're going to see the most loss from Dayacom. Two-part pens are pretty much all, well, not so. Most of the pens that are made in this size are the 12.5, 10.5. That means that they are 12.5mm tops and 10.5mm bodies, and they're all pretty much the same as far as their dimensions. The unusual thing about these types of pens is that the cap is equal on both ends. That's easy. But the other half of the pen, the body of the pen, where the nib is where you would expect it to be thinnest. That is not the case. Where the nib is the thicker of the two dimensions. Your finial is smaller than your nib. So when you start out, the first one that you make, read the directions and understand that, yes, there is a difference, and the finial is going to be the smaller end. You can then slope it down, and it's pretty simple. The tooth-part pen is a rollerball or a fountain pen. You don't have to do anything different from one to the other. There can be a number of things that you will do to make it more professional, but actual assembly of the two, they are both the same dimensions. They are both, so people who write to me frequently say, I've never made a fountain pen. Yeah, you probably have made several of them, you just didn't know it. All you have to do is change that rollerball front end and put in a fountain pen front end and you're good to go.
Is it okay to say one caveat to that?
Yeah, sure.
Is the rollerball pen, and
Right.
I don't. This is what people tell me. I don't.
Yeah, I
I've never
understand.
seen this.
Understand.
But the rollerball pen, that top, if I accidentally under barrel cut it
Mm-hmm.
with the rollerball is going to fit fine. If I undercut it with the barrel trimmer,
Mhm.
the fountain pen might not fit in.
Right.
So that's a user mistake.
Yes.
Everything you're saying is 100% true, but the user mistake can actually complicate that.
Well, and the cap is an issue. If you cut it too short, yes, you've got a problem with the fountain pen. Additionally, if you are using some of our products, we offer both the number 5 and in the United States the number 6 and number 12 in Europe. But we offer both of those as front ends in many cases. The number 6 pen nib is longer than the number 5 pen nib. So if you have made your cap perfectly for a number 5, you will probably bend the nib on a number 6. So, and a lot of this stuff is stuff that you really don't need to know, but I will say it only because if you're listening to this, you may actually have some interest in all the fine points. Most of it, you can ignore it and it won't do you any harm. But
This is a fountain of the same one that you've got, or that's a fountain one.
okay, so yeah, you can see that this.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't realize yours was a fountain
I
also.
didn't either, actually. But you can see, actually, that one's got a slightly longer fountain, too. This is one of ours. This is probably
Junior Majestic.
yeah, okay,
Here's a ballpoint or a roller ball.
thank you. So yeah, you can see that basically they're all very similar. They all will make a really pretty pen. So the question comes up, you know, these are maybe $20, $30 sets, your cost. And Dayacom had some that were available for $150 your cost. What's the difference? Ornamentation. If you want to have really fancy center bands, well, even the one that is from
That pen
Penn
is
State.
my, just so anybody knows,
The Junior Majestic.
that pen is a Junior Majestic, and the blank is a handmade blank from 15 years ago. That's my tribute to Eddie Van Halen. That looks like his guitar, and that's actually guitar pickguard material that I used to do all the silly framing on it.
Yeah, they're not difficult, and they're not, but they can be made very ornate. I mean,
Yes.
this was the same basic pen
Is that an emperor?
with Dayacom's version. Did you make that? Do you know?
No, I didn't.
Okay. This is one that I bought from Smitty, and I was particularly amazed at how well it was done. But yeah, this is the full-sized Emperor from
It's a beautiful one.
Dayacom at the time. And at the time that I bought this, it was nearly $100 for that pen, for the guts, not for the watch face and all the rest of that, just for that pen. The Emperor used to be really the highest of the pens that was out there. Later they came up with, I don't even know if I have it here. Yeah, it would take me longer to find it than it's worth.
Right there with the cap. Oh no, that's the same.
No, it's the same one. This is another thing that you might be
It's
interested in.
The full
This
size,
this is the full sized Emperor too, but that particular one is
That's gorgeous.
one of the first alligator jaws. For those of you who've never seen an alligator jaw, that was an alligator jaw. I did not make that one either. gentleman Snowden made that one. So there's an awful lot that we could sit here forever, and maybe we will at some point in time have a presentation of just high-end pens and ones that we've all made and ones that we've all seen, and because this is stuff that you can, we talked about, are we going to talk about selling? One of the things that I can tell you in very short order about selling, if you put together a booth and you put that pen out as a alligator jaw, and that alligator jaw is unique to you, you can put a price tag of $795, $895 on it. Whether somebody would buy it or not, if you are then showing your pens that are $200 or $300, which might be the normal junior size, they're much more likely to buy a $300 pen from you if you're showing a pen that's almost $1,000. You are no longer trying to ask them to buy your highest end pen. So, it's one of those things that when I give my presentation on selling, I always talk about nobody wants to buy the most expensive thing you've made. Nobody is not correct. Most people don't want to. I have sold the highest one in my booth, rarely. But the only way to get people to think that you are a master at what you're doing is to show some stuff that looks like a masterpiece. So, this is a whole hell of a lot closer than putting out a piece of walnut.
Well, it's the end of this joke, and I think you and I have both said this in many demonstrations. When someone says, "Well, I've never sold an $800 pen," and you go, "Well, how many of them do you have?" None. Well, then you're never gonna sell an $800
That's
pen.
right.
That's just that's just an old adage that we've joked about.
That often I am told by people after the seminars, my market would not support anything over $25.
Oh,
I said, well, one of two things: either change your market, which means go someplace else, or try marking one of your pens 35 and see if somebody comes by and buys it. I honestly remember those days. I mean, there was a time that I didn't sell a pen for over $100 too. I've been there. It's just that I felt so much better when I learned that I could sell them for $600.
my first pen that ever went for, I'll tell this story. It's completely as an aside. I can tell you the first pen that I ever sold that was over $100. We were at Arlington Park Racetrack. It was my first year that I was over there, and I had left to go to the restroom, and Donna sold it. It was an Amherst Pheasant pen on a junior gent that I did, and you would not believe the grin on her face when I came back. She goes, "Well, check the table." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "Look at the table." And I went, "What?" And she goes, "Where's the Amherst Pheasant pen?" And I'm looking around, and I was done. I think this was 15 years ago, probably, and I think it was $135,
Which was a lot then.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Because I can tell
Don't
you,
get me wrong.
now people are getting $250 to $300 for that pen.
Yeah, I don't, but I'm
But-
just kidding. I get $400.
Yeah.
I don't tell you that.
No.
I can't tell John.
I need
any
to
of
raise
this
my
stuff. Yeah.
prices. Yeah.
No, it's a good $20-$25 pen when I do it right.
The answer, Harold, when they say what makes this an $800 pen, my answer to that would be, you want to catch the alligator and get that jaw?
You know what I tell people too?
Sure.
The easiest. Okay, I'm going to say a couple things about sales, especially high-end sales, and I want to drop it at this because I'm not going to tell anybody. But when you can talk to people and you bring them into the conversation and they become friends, you're not a salesman anymore.
That's right.
We're just talking about stuff. And the one joke that I make a lot is that my pens are not necessarily pens, there's conversation pieces. And I said, I can guarantee you they're a conversation piece. And they'll always go, how can you guarantee that they're a conversation piece?
We're talking.
You just walked in and talked to me about it, so I could guarantee you it's a conversation piece. And people are more likely to spend money with you if you can explain to them how much time you've put into it, how much effort goes into it. And the cool thing about my work, and at least I like to pride myself in it, is not everybody can do what I do.
That's right.
And mine is a reflection on 20 some odd years. And now that I teach this, everybody can do what I can do, but I don't care anymore. It's fun for me to do this. And I have just as much joy in watching the comments that come up on the end of this to say thank you for what we're doing. And I thank Ed for just letting us into this stuff. I think we're still keeping a market alive, not personally, but the pen market alive in a world that's coming to nobody's writing anymore.
So that's basically it's 8:02. What else do we want to talk about? Any of this?
So, we talked about that. We talked about the easy way to convert it into a fountain.
Oh,
You got some of the
yeah,
magnetic
we
clip
got a
ones.
couple real quickies.
Yep, that give you the advantage of the next ones that we're going to show is you're going into a Schmidt rollerball with a single barrel pen, and I really like this. Well, is that another pheasant feather? Oh my gosh!
You know,
That's a rare pheasant feather pen too. I don't have a lot of those long wing feathers anymore. So,
and I agree with Troy. If I can tell them the backstory, significantly better.
all the time when people say, I had a lot of people that asked me at shows, what makes that so expensive, or what makes it so, how long does that take? Those kinds of questions. And one of the things that I used, and as Mark said, many times this was at Arlington Park. Arlington Park was a racetrack in Chicago, so the people that were there typically knew horses pretty well. I had an advantage. As a kid, I rode open jumpers, and as a result of that, I've gone over a jump that's over 7 feet with a horse. My answer to the question was frequently, it only takes 10 seconds to clear 7 feet on a horse. You want to try? So, it only takes about 2 or 3 years to learn how to do it, but it only takes 10 seconds to actually do it. So you're not talking about what does it take. The question is, how much effort did you have to put into learning how to do this? How many pieces have to come together for it to work properly?
that lathe wasn't free.
The lathe
turning
wasn't
tools,
free, but more important is the mind that made it.
Sure.
Absolutely. Anybody can buy those tools, and I've had a lot of people through here who have been very nice people who try to turn things, and they have the same tools I have, and it doesn't turn out the same.
I'll tell you this one quick point on that one, and I'm going to drop it after this because now I'm giving away too many of my secrets. But I'll tell you this: when people come up to me and say, "What makes this pen so expensive?" I immediately change their wording, and I'll always say, "You really." And I can judge the people who are there whether I can do this with them, but I'll always say, "You really want to know what makes this so valuable?" Right? It's not that it's expensive; it's valuable.
That's right.
And when I can talk about that, a lot of times I talk about it as a tag team and stuff like that. The pheasant feathers and the snake skins, and that I've got a friend who helps me make some of this stuff, and the watch faces. That everything is real.
Sure.
There's no, even the alligator jawbones that I do, and the watch faces that I do, or the origami paper that I do, and all that other stuff. It's real. And so
hours, if not days.
Yeah, and I always tell them it's what makes it more I always talk in value. I never talk in expense. Expense is a negative, value is a positive. And if you come into my booth, talk to me, and you'll learn some really weird key things that I do that make it an experience that people are happy about. I don't want anybody to walk away to ever think that I cared about the money more than I did the experience of them being in my booth. And I enjoy the experience of them sitting in my booth with me, talking to me, than I worry about whether they bought a pen from me or not.
That's right. Well, you have to like people to be able to do this. If you're doing it at shows.
Well, and the weird part is it's a one-way street. I like people, but nobody likes me. So that's how that one works.
Any other questions that we've missed while we've been BSing here? Okay. Okay, the only other.
That's you.
Yeah.
That's you, Dean.
Okay, the only other thing that you may want to briefly
You know, maybe we'll
See.
push this to next month.
keep on going.
No.
No.
This next part, we'll talk next month.
This stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
Fun?
no. Give them a preview. But I think there's some stuff that. Well, you know what? Is it okay if I talk for just
Sure.
a couple minutes?
Talk for
So
several minutes.
we had a couple minutes left, and we were going to do the next part of it when we thought that we were going to have enough time. Is that we were going to talk about some of the more unique component sets that are out there, and for lack of a better phrase, the theme sets that are out there, the bolt actions, the gear shifts, all that other stuff. And I think maybe that would be a great one to do either next month or the month going after, and talk a little bit. What we can do is do that. But I would really, if we're going to do that, I would really like to ask a favor. Is if you guys get a chance, please go on the Exotic Blanks website and go into the search and just say theme pens, and you'll see all the different themes, and shoot us some emails about some of the theme pens you would really like to see us either have made or talk about.
Mhm.
And we can talk about, the gear shift ones. We can talk about the bolt action ones. But Ed, if you want to talk anything about it, yeah, I mean,
think
there's some great ones out there, like the deer antler on the bolt action, or the deer antler on the deer antler bolt action, and some of that stuff, and where some of that stuff can go. I love lately, I don't do a lot, but I love doing custom casts of people's cars and putting it on the gear shift. If there's a whole car collector market out there that's really good, John, your pheasant feathers go great on some of the bolt actions, some of that other stuff. What?
Don't bring them up.
You can't get feathers these days.
Feathers are expensive.
I know.
I'm working
But
on it.
do you have this one in stock, right, at Ed's?
I don't know if I have any of them or not. I'll be honest with you. I've been so busy trying to build up stock that I couldn't tell you what's out and what's not.
Okay.
So,
One thing Dawn brought that I'll put up here briefly because I know why she brought it here. We talked about skip rat. This, I'm quite confident, is a very handmade, from scratch flute that Skip Rat made for Dawn. It also is a pen. So, there are people who are far more talented than I will ever be. And he was one of them. Skip Rat is no longer with us. He was a guy from Britain and just an engineering, really a genius.
well known for his the bolt, the big hex head bolt that he would cut,
Yes.
and then it would come apart
Oh my
into
gosh.
threads, and it would actually be a pen, but it looked like a big old giant hex headed
I
bolt when it was
remember
put
that
together.
one. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that was cool.
Yeah, that guy could do anything.
You see, there are people out there that make us look like just starters.
Yep.
But we are very, very fortunate. Dawn and I are very fortunate to have known a number of them, and gotten to know them pretty well.
Before-
Skip Rat was one of the ones we knew.
Before this scrolls off, I do want to follow up with this one. Sapami says, I found that theme pens are poor sellers. They get a lot of attention, but don't really move. I will tell you yes and no to that one. I thought the last sentence, though, is very important. They get a lot of attention. What does that mean? That means someone's in your booth. You can talk to them. You can make a relationship with them. And then when they buy something else or purchase something else, it was because you had that conversation with them. I would rather get someone in my booth and talk. And as I said, I'm not a salesman. I just like to talk to people. And so I think you hit it on the head, Bobby. There is value of using that theme pen to draw someone into my booth for something else.
The hardest thing about selling is starting the conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely want to find. I used to have kaleidoscopes at the front of the booth, usually 10 or so on a table, and they were simple, but people would come by and look at the kaleidoscope. They have to. I mean, they see the thing there, they have to pick it up. So the first thing you did was walk up and say, what do you think of that, or something of that nature. start a conversation. Once you've got somebody involved in a conversation, you're part of the way to getting to know them.
Yep.
And getting to know them can involve, well, what are you doing here at this show? Are you looking for presents? Are you looking for things for yourself? Or are you just killing time? And those are the things that will get you started on the road to selling something.
And those of you who are coming to my demo tomorrow at Turn On Chicago, I'm actually going to talk about some of that stuff. Loss leader items that I put in my tent when I'm doing pepper mills to draw people in just to have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. So we'll leave it at
There's
that.
2 other questions. There's a couple other questions towards the end here that I think are worth hitting.
Okay.
Lauren asks, how do the Schmidt 88 rollerballs hold up? She seems to be hearing that heavy users often say they have to frequently replace the refills. Any thoughts, comments?
Schmidt 888 comes in medium or fine. If you're trying to get long yield out of them, I would use the fine. I use a Schmidt 888 to sign every invoice that goes out of here. And it will last me about a week. So I can tell you that,
Well, you're filling a lot of orders though too.
well, it's true, but it is disappointing to me.
And a lot more tonight after they use code YT.
So, yeah.
YT pen.
YT pen.
Anybody who uses a rollerball hopefully is not trying to worry about their yield.
So the weird part about it is I also use that as a huge advantage to myself about knowing pens. So when they come in and they write with it, the second part of it, post them saying that this is what I'm going to want, I always talk about I always ask them, when you wrote with it, what did you think of the refill? The one that I'll tell you is there's a lot of times I'll pull that one out and I'll put in a 60/40. The 60/40 is a phenomenal refill.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people who don't want that much ink on the paper. So then I'll go, well, let's talk a little bit about a fine. Let's say 75 to 80% of my sales go out with the refill that are in there. The other 25%, I'm customizing their experience in my booth, and I'm talking about different refills. And on that sheet of paper that I tell people about, I've got the different refills, what to type in the search engine, and a little bit of some of the dynamics of what's in there. And then, as you know, because I got them, is that I also have a handful of different colors. The high-end pens rarely go with something different than blue or black.
Right.
Some of the mid-size Sierra-based type things, I'll have some bizarre colors in there so people can just have some fun.
Sure.
So the other question, this one's for Ed, and I'm sure you've heard it before. Anthony asks, any idea when the flat rest will be back in stock?
Oh,
Because I need one.
that's a very, very good question,
What a great
Anthony.
question.
Yeah, I need one.
A very good question. Thank you. And the answer is hopefully in a couple of weeks. I haven't talked to the supplier. That's my mistake. I'm sorry. But it's an easy thing to do. I just have to do it. So nothing's scheduled for tomorrow that's vital. I'll get that done. Thank you. Takes them
SHS
about 2
coaches
weeks.
ask,
I'm sorry.
SHS coaches asks a question that I wonder could turn into a really cool YouTube live. And Mark, I know this one hits close to your home because I know you guys teach us a lot. He's saying, I have to teach a 12-year-old how to turn a pen. Any tips on working with kids that age? And I know at the AAW, you guys teach a lot to young people.
So
It might be
I
a great thing to have us bring somebody in and teach them on the YouTube live how to make a pen. That would be really kind of cool.
I've got he's a little bit older. I think I've got a 15-year-old nephew that I guarantee you, if we wanted to bring him in, he would drive up here and we could teach him how to make a pen. And if we wanted to do something like that or teach someone young, I think we could do it in a heartbeat. And we do it all. John and I do it all the time for classes that we're teaching.
Yeah, and all I can add to that is the biggest thing with the kids is getting them comfortable with the tool, right? Keeping them safe and getting them to relax. and not be too aggressive.
You know, the other thing is, if Kent is still on this call, I don't know. I was looking at him. Kent, I know your daughter does a lot of this, and she's actually come to Woodcraft when we teach. And one of the things I'll tell you is, if you want to teach a kid, and let's say that they're 12, 13 years old, don't teach one of them. Bring two of them in. Bring three of them in, because they're going to be more encouraging to the other one than intimidating than the other one there. So I'll tell you, we do it a lot. We do it at Woodcraft come November. We do a whole afternoon on teaching kids, and then a whole one after that. So if you want to do that, please shoot us an email, shoot us a text, and we'll see where we're going to go on that one.
Teaching with carbide tools is really quite simple. I mean, it's really, you don't have to teach them much. All you have to teach them is how to hold the tool and how to be comfortable. Exactly correct. You have to make them comfortable with that spinning object in front of them. But yeah, it's not difficult.
And Harold, yes, I don't want to sound weird about it. I've got a 3-year contract with the AAW, so I will be in Oklahoma next year, and I will be teaching pen making. And I've actually recruited my wife to come and do it, because she's an avid pen maker. And I'm trying to recruit someone else to come out to Oklahoma City with me to maybe teach some other stuff that we were thinking about doing.
Maybe I'll just visit with everybody while you teach.
I'm nervous. I'm the shy one.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Just bring up drill bits or markets or sales or anything. Shy.
Anything else, Dean?
I think that's it that I see at the moment.
Do you want to repeat the offer for tonight, Dean?
Sure. One last time. YT Pen, YTPEN. It's good for $10 off $100 or more. As one person commented, make sure you get your card up to 110 if you want the free shipping. And then it will be one per person, and it expires 8 a.m. tomorrow morning Central Time. So it's for everybody sitting here watching. It's designed for the guys that are watching this live.
I haven't cut the check yet for the order that I just pulled for myself.
Yeah.
I'm paying $10 less.
I
I don't
already
care
did.
what Dawn says.
But driving up here to get it makes up for waiting, 2 days
Yeah, it
if my
does.
postman's going to drop it to my door. So
The
it's all
wildest
good.
As long as I place the order, usually before 2:00, that gives that enough time to get it picked, and it's at my house the next day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times it's easier to place the order that way than to drive up here.
Yeah, I mean it's like order from Amazon. It's there the next day.
Yeah.
What really cracks me up though is if I mail him something, it takes 6 or 7 days to get here because it has to go down to Missouri and then turn around and come back up to Wisconsin from Illinois.
So on a lighter note, please, we do this every month. Please send an email to sales@exoticblanks.com with ideas for topics that you want to see us hit in. If there's some other topic, as we always say, if there's a topic that we're not really well versed on, we can bring in experts or people that we know that could come in here and teach another topic or two. While Ed said pens are the primary, I know that every once in a while we're still going to go off on some of the other small turning, because those are kind of fun, and we already have a lot of the tools on that one. Segmented blanks is always a good one. So please, if you don't mind, send that as an email to Ed and Dawn at sales@exoticblanks, and we'll start to tally. Is that fair enough, Ed?
Sure.
And we'll start to tally them up.
Sure.
I know a couple people who are phenomenal segmenters.
And that was very popular at the MPG.
Yes. And the guy who did that one, Al Miyake, is a phenomenal segmenting
Yeah,
guy.
everybody
Mark-
that I've talked to.
Mark James was phenomenal himself.
Yeah.
But Mark, because of health reasons, had to stop. And Al, if you looked at his work on bowls and vases and things like that, it was ridiculous how gorgeous it is. I've always told Al he's one of my favorite turners,
Mhm.
independent of anything else. And then he said, well, I got an itch and I started doing some pens. Any chance you want to see if I could do the demo at the MPG? And I went in a heartbeat. So Al is a phenomenal
It was
one.
very well received too. Everybody had a good time.
Yes.
I've heard a lot about him. just afterwards from guys up here.
He is a
so
phenomenal
he really made an impression.
And he's a great guy.
He is.
Super nice guy. He does a lot for the MPG.
And he does it is so part of his work is that and then texturing and things like that. If you ever get a chance, look it up on I don't know if Dean, if you could even look it up on there. If you look up Al Miyake's name on Google, he did one piece that was ridiculous. It was basically a vase, and when you looked at the inside of it, it was cut down and it was completely segmented on the inside. And then when you looked at the outside of it, he had carved it and everything else, and it looked like a tree bark. So the outside looked like you were looking at a tree, and when the vase rotated around, it was deep cut on the inside, and it was just this gorgeous maple and purple heart, I believe, segmentation on it.
Talent.
So that's the beauty of coming to the MPG. You get to meet a lot of nice people. So I agree with you guys that the MPG is a phenomenal place to learn and pick up
Well,
some
and it's
technique.
where we've met so many of the viewers too.
Yes.
So it was great. We've hung out with so many of you, and we appreciate it.
And this year it will be April 16th and 17th at a new location in Northbrook. So I think it'll all
That's
work
what
out.
you wrote down. I know it's
Yeah,
16th to
got it over
17th.
I've got it
Was
over
it
here.
Northbrook?
Yes, it was Northbrook.
Okay.
Northbrook, yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, Anthony, I agree. I had great conversations with people. I love doing this one, and they bet me that I couldn't go a whole session without talking. So
Yeah, that didn't work,
could
did it?
probably see if I could, but you know what? It's too much fun.
That didn't work, did it?
Hey, it was quiet for all of 35 seconds. What's the problem?
Ed was worried tonight about having enough content. I said, don't worry about it. Mark's here. So.
So
So on that note, should we say goodnight, folks?
well, or see you tomorrow, or next weekend, or at the MPG.
All those things.
We'll keep it. Dean, let it keep it in so people can type in anything over the next 2-3 minutes, and then we are going to be dropping out.
Here's your chance, guys. Great show. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Really glad you enjoyed it.
And the nice part about it is, it's the one that I have the least amount of packing for it. I am done. I'm all packed up now.
Me too. This is it.
I got a few things left.
Although I do have an order in the next room I have to carry out. But
I already picked mine.
no, thanks everybody for coming.
Yes, indeed.
Well, it's one of them topics that could go on for days. There's just so many ideas and so many things you don't really think about.
It's difficult because I've seen them all before. And so I look at it and think, what's the interest?
Well,
What do you do to tell people something they don't already know?
We have a big advantage when we do this is because we talk to you and you tell us what 60% or 70% of the calls you get in, and that's what this is tailored
Well,
to.
there's truth to that.
And that's why I like doing it is because so
John's getting
Susan-
begged to do a hands-on casting class.
and there's a really good chance that we're going to be
Oh,
doing
shoot.
that one.
Well, I got about $3,000 worth of resin on a pallet at my house, so we got to use it up. So we'll consider that.
Now Dean is the one who's getting a lot of the stuff that comes in for exotics because he's that chat thing.
Yep.
Ah,
And so he's starting to learn how interesting some of these input can be.
Some of these questions are, yeah, they can be. Yes,
Hard to be
funny.
diplomatic, isn't it?
Terry, please, Terry. I think you've got my email. If you have a name to consider, please let us know. We're always looking for the names to consider. I'd rather not have you publish it here in case it doesn't work out, but please let me know sincerely.
See, it's funny as you guys were digging through all the pens. I'm looking at the ones I've got laying around my desk and going, I found my first pen,
Good.
which was a slim line.
Yeah.
And like everybody else, I had to experiment with slims at one point in time too.
yep.
Closed end, beefy thing. The mechanism's way the heck down here. It's dinky short.
So the Messy Studio, it says MPG even let me do a demo year 2. sorry, I don't know you by the Messy Studio. So, were you when you talk about the second year? Was it the second year that we were doing it, or back when we were doing it in Champaign? The second year was officially still back in Champaign. We did the first 4 years in Champaign, then it moved out to
Wadsworth.
4 years. No, 4 years in, or 2 or 3 years in Bloomington.
Oh yeah.
And then it went
The
to
Labor
4
Hall.
years in Ohio, and now I think we've had it for 6 years. I think we've been having it.
Yeah, it's
So Messy Studio, tell us who you are. Who is it?
Yeah, who's the Messy Studio? And what demo you did?
And do you want to do it again?
Yeah. I've met more people through the MPG that it's kind of nice because you see them and you talk to them on. I was more IAP than I
Yep.
was Facebook at the time,
Yep.
and you talk to them on that one, and then you realize, how many good friends you make. You know, how many people, even though we only see them, once a year, but even Canada and things like that, we've got some really good, strong friends that we've made.
It says he's Billy Burt, Alamo CDC from IAP,
Yep, Billy Bird.
and he demoed a denim pen.
I was gonna say you did the denim on the tube. I was there. I watched your the demo. I remember that.
And yes, that was the second year.
And then I think you moved to Texas because I complained. Why is all these pen makers in Texas?
And I think, I wasn't there the first year. I started the second year going.
Yeah.
But I was, the quiet wallflower in the back.
Yeah, you didn't even know me then.
I remember the first time we won't even talk about the first time I went up and talked to you. I was scared out of my mind.
I didn't know anybody.
I was scared out of my mind talking to you.
I didn't know
the first
Ed
time.
then either. I remember I bought my first junior gent set from him.
Yeah. I had known Ed from doing art. He did art shows, and I would go sit and talk to him all the time. And I'm sure I was just a nuisance to him at that point, not knowing where we would go.
See, they're puzzled. You
I
quiet?
was.
I don't remember either.
Oh yeah, I was.
I don't know what happened.
I was.
We talked to him and like getting a gremlin wet. You just.
This all started with the last year in Ohio when you, me, and Ed were sitting up in the hotel, and it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
when we were sitting down in the lobby.
Yep.
When they were talking about there was a big nerve-wracking thing that was going on where they were going to just stop the MPG because Ohio couldn't do it anymore, and that's when we started talking about moving it to Chicago.
Yep. No, I remember that demo with the demo. In fact, I did something similar to that 2 years ago at our MPG here in Illinois, where I took the denim and recycled for the pen. So, yep.
Yeah, it was 20 years. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
about 20 years ago.
That might have been the first MPG I made it.
I went to the second one. I didn't make the first one.
I didn't make the first one either. I think that was the first year I made that.
It was
the
in that
MPG.
little hall. I remember. I don't know that you were selling at that point, but I know Coors was.
Mhm.
And the funny thing about that one was I bought a whole bunch of wood from him, and then he goes before the last demo started, and he got up and he went, "Well, as of now, all my wood is half price." And I went, "I just bought a whole bunch from you." We've had that conversation. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah,
All right,
Richard's
Dean,
a
I
great
think
guy.
we're about ready to drop off.
Sounds good. Good night, all.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for
Good night.
coming.